Beneath the sands of time, secrets lie buried, enigmatic whispers of ancient civilizations whose achievements still defy explanation. Monuments rise, perfectly aligned to celestial bodies, constructed with such precision that even our most advanced technologies today seem unable to replicate them. The pyramids of Palestine, the hidden city of Machu Picchu, and the cryptic writings etched into stone in distant lands, each one holds a mystery that historians, no matter how learned, cannot fully unravel. How were these feats accomplished by people who, by all accounts, should not have had the knowledge or tools? What knowledge was lost in the annals of time? Were ancient civilizations really as primitive as we are taught? Or were they capable of wonders that remain just beyond our grasp? As we venture deeper into the heart of these unsolved riddles, one question lingers. What if the answers were hidden deliberately? So sit back, relax, and let's embark on a journey through time to explore the ancient mysteries that continue to haunt historians today. In the ancient city of Ebla, now part of modern northern Syria, a significant discovery was made in the 1970s. Archaeologists unearthed thousands of clay tablets inscribed with cuneiform script, providing an exceptional look into the civilization that thrived around 2500 BCE. Ebla, with its advanced architecture and expansive trade networks, was at the height of its power. The tablets, found within the royal palace complex, weren't mere records, but detailed administrative archives that documented everything from royal decrees to diplomatic treaties with neighboring kingdoms. However, this invaluable discovery was followed by a tragic and mysterious event. Around 2000 BCE, a fire ravaged the palace and destroyed the archives, leaving behind only fragments of these crucial records. The cause of the fire remains unknown and has been the subject of much speculation. Was it the result of a military invasion, an internal revolt, or an accidental disaster? Some scholars suggest it was a deliberate act, intended to erase Ebla's influence. Others speculate that it was an unforeseen catastrophe, ending the prosperity of a once thriving city. The destruction of the Ebla archives raises numerous questions. While the burning of libraries and records is not uncommon in history, the rapid and thorough destruction of such a vital cultural center makes the Ebla fire particularly striking. By the time of the fire, Ebla had established itself as an influential city, and the archives played a crucial role in its administration. The speed at which these important records were destroyed suggests that it might have been a deliberate act. Was the fire the result of military conflict, possibly involving the Amorites, who were known to have had hostile encounters with Ebla? Could these invaders have targeted the archives to undermine Ebla's political power and erase its cultural identity? Other theories delve into more speculative realms. Could the fire have been part of a religious or ritualistic act? In ancient cultures, destroying records often signified a break from the past, symbolizing a cleansing or renouncing of former rulers. Perhaps the fire wasn't just a physical destruction, but also a symbolic severing from an old era, marking the end of Ebla's reign. Some scholars entertain the possibility that the destruction might have come from within Ebla itself. Could the ruling elite, facing the collapse of their civilization, have chosen to burn their own archives to protect them from falling into enemy hands? This act of self-preservation would suggest that the elite foresaw the decline of their city and, in an effort to control their legacy, chose to destroy it rather than allow it to be claimed by invaders. This theory paints a picture of a desperate act to control the narrative of Ebla's history. Despite these various theories, the true cause of the fire remains a mystery. Some have speculated that a natural event, such as lightning, might have caused the fire, igniting the fragile clay tablets. Others have proposed more mystical explanations, pondering whether the fire was a divine warning or the result of a curse. Regardless of the cause, the burning of Ebla's archives has left historians and archaeologists with more questions than answers, deepening the enigma of the city's fall. Today, the ruins of Ebla lie in quiet solitude, its archives reduced to ash and fragments. The few surviving tablets offer limited insight into a lost civilization, but much of the content remains indecipherable. The destruction of Ebla's records only adds to the mystery of the city's demise, raising the question of what knowledge was lost in the flames. What secrets did these vanished records contain? Secrets that might have reshaped our understanding of ancient history. As the fire that consumed Ebla's archives continues to cast a shadow over the past, it serves as a reminder of the fragility of knowledge and the mysteries of ancient civilizations that continue to elude us. The loss of Ebla's archives is not just a loss of information, but a reminder that history can be irrevocably altered by a single event. The destruction of these records stands as a testament to the vulnerability of cultural heritage, emphasizing that even the most advanced civilizations are susceptible to the passage of time, natural disasters, and deliberate acts of erasure. In the end, the fate of Ebla's archives remains one of the great unsolved mysteries of the ancient world. What knowledge, history, and wisdom did these lost records hold? The fragments that remain may one day offer new insights, but for now, the answers lie buried beneath the ashes of a civilization that once stood at the height of its power. What lies beneath the ruins of Ebla, waiting to be uncovered by future generations, remains a tantalizing question that may never be fully answered. The enigmatic fall of Ebla and the disappearance of its archives serve as a poignant reminder of how much history we may never fully know. As the sun casts its golden glow over the ancient city of Hattusa, once the heart of the Hittite Empire, remnants of a majestic past rise from the earth. Among the most striking of these remnants are the carved lion statues that once stood guard over the city. These lions, elegantly crafted from stone, their muscular forms frozen in mid-stride, are not just artistic masterpieces but symbols of the power and majesty of Hattusa itself. Positioned at key gateways and temple entrances, their fierce expressions reflected the strength and protection afforded to the city by its rulers. However, these stone sentinels are remarkable not only for their artistry and symbolism, but also for their disappearance, along with much of the city itself. Today, only a few lion statues remain, scattered across the ruins of Hattusa, their original locations lost to time and turmoil. What happened to the rest of the lions? Hattusa, an ancient marvel of engineering and culture, flourished in the 2nd millennium BC. At its peak, the city was a powerful hub, connected to civilizations across the ancient Near East. The lion statues were an integral part of this grandeur, serving both as protectors and symbols of divine authority. Each lion was intricately carved with incredible attention to detail, suggesting they were more than just decorative. They were manifestations of the might and spiritual strength of the Hittite state. The lions, part of a broader tradition of monumental art that included massive stone reliefs and intricate carvings, were undoubtedly meant to intimidate would-be invaders and reinforce the authority of the Hittite kings. But what happened to the majority of them? Many of the lions that once lined Hattusa's gates and temples are now gone, leaving behind only a few scattered examples that have survived the ravages of time. One leading theory behind the disappearance of the Hattusa lions points to the fall of the Hittite Empire. By the 12th century BC, the empire began to crumble under external invasions and internal strife. Attacks from the Sea Peoples and other neighboring groups, such as the Phrygians, may have led to the destruction of the lions. Some speculate that the lions, symbols of state power, were destroyed or taken as trophies by invading forces. Looting such significant artifacts was not uncommon in the ancient world, and the destruction of royal symbols could have been seen as a way of diminishing the empire's divine authority. Yet, even this explanation leaves us with more questions. If the lions were taken or destroyed during the fall of Hattusa, why were only a few preserved? And why were these lion statues specifically targeted rather than other artifacts or buildings? The meticulous craftsmanship of the lions and their strategic placement suggest a higher purpose, perhaps one tied to religious or spiritual significance. Could there have been a deeper reason for their disappearance than mere looting? More speculative theories suggest the lions were not taken as spoils of war but hidden away in secrecy. Could the rulers of Hattusa, knowing the empire's collapse was imminent, have concealed these symbols of power to protect them for future generations or to shield them from desecration? If so, where might they have been hidden? Could some still lie beneath the earth, waiting to be uncovered in future excavations? Others propose that the lions were part of a ritualistic practice. The Hittites were known for their complex religious beliefs, with gods tied to nature, fertility, and the protection of the state. The lions may have represented divine power, not only guarding the city but also embodying the spiritual strength of the entire Hittite realm. Could their disappearance be connected to the end of the Hittite religious order? Was the act of removing or destroying the lions part of a broader ceremonial transition, marking the end of the Hittite era? There is also the possibility that the lion's disappearance is connected to a more cryptic part of Hittite history. The Hittites were adept diplomats, forming alliances with neighboring powers. Could the lions have been symbols of these alliances, given as gifts or markers of peace? If so, the fate of the lions could be tied to the shifting political landscape of the ancient world, an added layer of mystery waiting to be uncovered. As the ruins of Hattusa remain silent, the lion's disappearance continues to captivate the imagination. Were they destroyed in the wake of the empire's collapse, hidden away in some forgotten vault, or quietly passed between civilizations as ancient symbols of strength? Whatever the answer, the truth remains locked in the sands of time, waiting to reveal itself. And as we continue to search through the ruins, one question remains. Are the missing lions of Hattusa truly gone forever, or do they lie hidden somewhere, waiting to be found once more? In the heart of modern-day Syria, amidst the arid expanse of the Mesopotamian plains, lies the ancient site of Tel Leilan. Once a thriving city-state around 3000 BC, it flourished due to its strategic position along vital trade routes. The ruins of Tel Leilan, its grand walls, multi-story buildings, and complex network of roads, reveal a civilization that valued innovation, strength, and organization. Yet, despite its early success, the city's sudden collapse around 1800 BC remains one of the most mysterious events in ancient history. The site of Tel Leilan is imposing, a vast testament to a once powerful city. Excavations have uncovered large courtyards, sophisticated architecture, and evidence of agriculture, trade, and governance. The city's layout, with its carefully constructed buildings and organized streets, suggests a level of urban planning rare for its time. However, this thriving metropolis, once a center of power, was abandoned almost overnight. No enemy invasion was recorded, and no natural disaster, like a plague or earthquake, has been definitively linked to the city's downfall. So, what could have led to this rapid and unexplained desertion? The mainstream theory posits that climate change played a significant role in the collapse of Tel Leilan. Studies of sediment layers from the region reveal signs of a severe drought around the time of the city's abandonment. A city reliant on agriculture would have been devastated by a lack of water, with food supplies dwindling and trade routes disrupted. Could the inhabitants have been forced to abandon their city in search of more fertile, water-rich land? The idea of climate change as a driving factor is compelling, yet it doesn't fully explain why the city's fall was so swift and complete. Some argue that the drought alone could not have caused such a sudden and thorough collapse. Was there perhaps an unforeseen environmental event, such as an earthquake or volcanic activity, that pushed the inhabitants to flee in haste? While there is no direct evidence of such a catastrophe, it's possible that a combination of environmental stressors contributed to the city's rapid decline. Another theory suggests that internal strife played a role in Tel Leilan's downfall. The city's architectural splendor and urban organization may have masked deeper social or political divisions. Could political unrest or social upheaval have led to a breakdown of order? The speed with which the city was abandoned suggests that it was not merely the result of environmental factors, but possibly internal tensions that escalated beyond the control of its rulers. However, the archaeological record shows little evidence of violence or warfare, making this theory difficult to confirm. A further theory links the city's collapse to broader regional shifts in power. During the same period, the Amorites began expanding into Mesopotamia, altering trade routes and political allegiances. Was Tel Leilan caught in the middle of this upheaval? Perhaps the city's strategic importance waned as new powers emerged. Yet, if this theory holds, why didn't Tel Leilan adapt as other cities did during similar periods of political change? Perhaps the most speculative theory suggests a supernatural or religious explanation for the city's disappearance. In the ancient world, cities and their fates were often tied to divine will. Could the inhabitants of Tel Leilan have believed their gods had abandoned them or turned against them? If so, might the people have fled in desperation, seeking a new place to appease their deities? This notion, though speculative, taps into the way ancient cultures often viewed their cities as manifestations of divine favor. The collapse of Tel Leilan may have been the result of a combination of factors: climate change, internal strife, and shifting political dynamics. Could the inhabitants have been dealing with multiple pressures at once, leading to the city's collapse? These factors might have worked together in such a way that recovery was impossible, forcing the population to abandon their home in search of survival. As archaeologists continue to unearth fragments of Tel Leilan's past, they reveal the complexity of this once great civilization. Yet, with each discovery, the mystery of the city's sudden abandonment deepens. No definitive explanation has emerged, and the questions remain. What truly caused the fall of Tel Leilan? Was it environmental, political, or something more enigmatic? The ruins stand as silent witnesses, holding secrets in the dust. Secrets that may one day reveal the true story of the city's collapse. The ancient city of Ephesus, once a thriving metropolis on the Aegean coast of what is now Turkey, was home to one of the most remarkable monuments of the ancient world, the Temple of Artemis. Standing over 60 meters tall, the temple was a testament to Greek architectural genius and the devotion of its people. With its towering marble columns and intricate carvings, the Temple of Artemis was not only a religious center, but also one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. Its grandeur symbolized the wealth, power, and piety of Ephesus. However, despite its significance, the temple's most defining moment came not with its creation, but with its violent destruction. In 356 BC, the Temple of Artemis was reduced to ashes in a fire so devastating that it would forever mark the temple's history. The details surrounding the fire remain murky, but ancient sources suggest that it was an act of arson, intentionally set to destroy the temple. What caused this catastrophic fire, and why did it occur on the very night Alexander the Great was born? Was it merely a coincidence, or did the timing of the fire hold a deeper symbolic meaning? The consensus among historians is that the fire was deliberately set. Some suggest that political or military conflict might have driven enemies of Ephesus to destroy such a powerful symbol of the city. Alternatively, the fire could have been the result of religious fanaticism, with rival cults seeking to erase Artemis's worship. But the timing of the fire on the night of Alexander's birth adds an intriguing layer to the mystery. Was the fire simply a coincidence? Or did it mark the beginning of a new era with the rise of one of history's greatest conquerors? Could the destruction of the temple have been viewed as a divine omen, signaling the end of an old order and the rise of a new one? Despite the devastation, the fire did not mark the end of the Temple of Artemis. In the wake of the blaze, efforts were made to rebuild the temple on an even grander scale. By the 4th century BC, a new version of the temple had been completed, even more opulent than before, with over 120 marble columns. But the mystery of the original fire and the reasons behind it never faded. Some scholars believe the fire was caused by religious or political motivations, while others speculate about personal vendettas or even divine intervention. One of the most infamous theories suggests that the fire was the work of Herostratus, a man who sought fame at any cost. According to ancient sources, Herostratus confessed to setting the fire with the intention of achieving immortality through the destruction of such a monumental structure. The Ephesians, furious at his actions, condemned him to death and decreed that his name should be erased from history. Ironically, this decree ensured that his name would be remembered, immortalized by the very act that had led to the temple's ruin. Could it really have been just one man seeking fame who brought down the Temple of Artemis? The idea that a single individual could destroy such a symbol of power and spirituality raises questions about the vulnerability of ancient monuments. Was Herostratus acting alone, or did he have help from others with political, religious, or personal motives? Some more speculative theories suggest a supernatural cause for the fire. In the ancient world, the gods were believed to intervene in human affairs, and some believed that the fire was a divine act. Could Artemis herself have orchestrated the fire to send a message or to purify the city? Was it a form of divine retribution, or perhaps a necessary destruction for some greater purpose? These theories, though speculative, reflect the deep belief in the power of the gods and their influence on the lives of the people. As the temple was rebuilt, it continued to stand as a symbol of both human achievement and the fragility of civilization. But this was not the last time the temple faced destruction. In 262 AD, the temple was ravaged once again, this time by invading Goths. Despite these repeated attacks, the true cause of the original fire in 356 BC remains a mystery. The burning of the Temple of Artemis is an event that has echoed through history, its significance far beyond the flames that consumed the structure. What drove the fire that night? Was it an act of individual ambition, religious fervor, or something else entirely? As we look back on this ancient destruction, we must ask, could the true story behind the burning of the Temple of Artemis still be hidden, waiting to be uncovered? High in the mountains of central Greece, nestled among the craggy slopes of Mount Parnassus, lies one of the most revered sites in ancient history, the Oracle of Delphi. For centuries, this sacred place served as the center of the ancient world's spiritual and political life. Pilgrims traveled from all corners of the Mediterranean to seek guidance from the Pythia, the high priestess who, in a trance-like state, would deliver cryptic prophecies. The temple's location seemed to pulse with energy, as if the very air held secrets waiting to be revealed. But one aspect of Delphi's mysteries has captivated historians for centuries: the vapors, the trance, and the altered state of consciousness that the Pythia entered to speak the god's will. The ancient Greeks believed that the oracle's prophecies came not from her own mind, but from the god Apollo himself, who resided in the temple. How did she achieve this mystical state? And what was the true source of the vapors that clouded her senses and induced such profound visions? The most famous accounts describe the Pythia sitting on a tripod above a fissure in the earth, inhaling vapors that rose from the depths. These vapors, described as pungent and intoxicating, were believed to induce a trance, allowing the Pythia to speak in a frenzied, often incoherent manner. Ancient historian Strabo even wrote that the vapors made the priestess inspired, as if Apollo himself was using her as a conduit. But what exactly were these vapors, and why did they have such a profound effect on her mind? For centuries, scholars have speculated about the nature of the trance that took hold of the oracle. Some believe the vapors were composed of natural gases like ethylene or methane that seeped up from the Earth's crust. When inhaled in large quantities, these gases could induce hallucinations, dizziness, and altered states of consciousness. Ethylene, in particular, is known for its psychoactive properties, and it's possible that these vapors had this very effect, enabling the Pythia to deliver prophecies that seemed beyond human understanding. Yet, this scientific explanation doesn't fully account for the intricate and consistent nature of the prophecies. The Greeks believed the oracle wasn't merely influenced by hallucinatory vapors, but was receiving messages from Apollo. This raises the question: were the Pythia's visions truly divine in nature, or were they the result of natural phenomena interacting with the mind in a way that produced divine insights? Could the prophecies that guided ancient Greece have been influenced by real, tangible forces, or were they simply the product of suggestion, trance, and interpretation? Another element of Delphi's mystery is its location. Known as the navel of the world, Delphi was believed to be a direct link to the divine. The presence of fissures in the earth, emitting mysterious vapors, only added to the site's mystique. The Greeks viewed the location as sacred, with the gods themselves believed to have chosen it for its power. Could the Pythia's altered consciousness have been influenced by the physical space itself? Perhaps the convergence of natural and divine forces? The very earth beneath the temple seemed imbued with energy, and some scholars wonder if this natural environment was deliberately harnessed to create the ideal conditions for prophecy. Not all theories rely solely on natural explanations. Some have speculated that the trance was induced by intentional rituals, herbs, or substances used in addition to the vapors. Ancient texts mention various intoxicating substances, such as laurel leaves, which could have contributed to the altered states. Was the trance the result of a ritual designed to tap into the unconscious mind, or was it a form of divine possession, as the Greeks believed? There are even more speculative theories, suggesting the fire may have been caused by an unknown force, or perhaps mind control. Some propose that the priests of Delphi, skilled in psychological manipulation, subtly guided the Pythia's trance through words and suggestion. Others have wondered whether an ancient technology, unknown to the Greeks but sensed through their heightened spiritual awareness, was responsible for manipulating the Pythia's mind via electromagnetic or energetic fields. Despite the many theories, the mystery of the Delphic vapors and the trance of the oracle remains unsolved. While modern science offers plausible explanations, there are still elements of the story that elude our understanding. Was the oracle's state the result of natural gases rising from the earth, or was it a profound divine connection? Could the location itself have played a role in the phenomenon, or was it the combination of natural forces and rituals that created the perfect environment for prophecy? As we continue to search for answers, the question remains: what was the true nature of the Delphic vapors, and what secrets might still lie hidden beneath the sacred ground of Delphi, waiting to be uncovered? In the dense jungles of Guatemala, nestled within the heart of the Maya lowlands, lies the ancient city of Nixtun-Ch'ich. Once a thriving center of civilization, it now lies in quiet ruin, shrouded by vegetation and time. The city flourished between the 6th and 9th centuries and was once home to a vibrant Maya community. Towering pyramids, intricate ball courts, and sophisticated architecture mark the city as an important hub in the Maya world. Yet, despite its prominence, Nixtun-Ch'ich was abandoned, seemingly overnight, leaving behind a complex puzzle that has intrigued archaeologists and historians for years. The most striking feature of Nixtun-Ch'ich is its layout. The city was uniquely designed with a series of impressive temples, residential buildings, and monumental structures arranged along a central axis. Archaeological studies suggest that the city was built with a level of planning and precision typical of the Maya civilization, sophisticated urban planning that emphasized the alignment of structures with celestial events. Yet, despite its architectural brilliance, something happened to cause its sudden abandonment. When explorers and archaeologists first stumbled upon the ruins of Nixtun-Ch'ich, they were astonished by its well-preserved state. The wide central plaza, the towering pyramids, and the grid-like arrangement of buildings all pointed to a city of great significance. But beneath the surface, something was amiss. Unlike many other Maya cities that experienced gradual decline due to warfare, environmental collapse, or political instability, Nixtun-Ch'ich appeared to be abandoned with eerie suddenness. There were no signs of violence, no massive destruction, and no evidence of conflict. The buildings were simply left behind, as if the city's inhabitants had walked away and never returned. What could have caused this mysterious exodus? One mainstream explanation for the abandonment of Nixtun-Ch'ich is environmental change. The Maya civilization is often thought to have suffered from prolonged droughts that devastated agriculture, which was the backbone of their economy. In the case of Nixtun-Ch'ich, evidence from nearby sites suggests that a series of severe droughts may have reduced the availability of water, triggering a collapse in food production and leading to mass migration. Could it be that the inhabitants of Nixtun-Ch'ich were forced to abandon their homes in search of more fertile land, leaving their once thriving city to fall into ruin? Yet, even the environmental theory raises more questions than it answers. While droughts undoubtedly affected the broader region, there is little direct evidence from the ruins of Nixtun-Ch'ich to suggest that the city's water supply had completely failed. The city's central reservoir, though not as large as those in other Maya cities, still contained traces of water during the time of its abandonment. Moreover, many other nearby Maya cities experienced similar drought conditions, but did not suffer the same fate. Why then did Nixtun-Ch'ich see such a sudden and complete desertion, while other cities managed to survive longer? Another theory posits that the city's abandonment could have been due to internal social or political factors. Could Nixtun-Ch'ich have suffered from political instability or factional conflict that caused its rulers to lose control over the population? Unlike other Maya cities, which often saw power struggles between competing dynasties, there is little evidence to suggest that Nixtun-Ch'ich experienced such turmoil. Yet some believe that the city's rulers may have faced challenges from rival groups, leading to the city's sudden evacuation. Perhaps, after the collapse of the political elite, the inhabitants decided to leave, abandoning the city in search of safer or more prosperous lands. But what if the cause of the abandonment was more mysterious? Something beyond environmental or political factors? Some fringe theories suggest that the people of Nixtun-Ch'ich may have been driven away by a spiritual or religious event. The Maya civilization was deeply connected to their gods and the natural world, and their cities were often built in alignment with celestial phenomena. Could there have been an omen or a celestial event, such as a comet or a rare astronomical alignment, that was interpreted as a sign from the gods, prompting the inhabitants of Nixtun-Ch'ich to abandon their city in fear or reverence? The suddenness of the abandonment, combined with the lack of any tangible destruction, suggests that something profound may have influenced the decision to leave. There is also the theory that the Maya were not simply abandoning their cities in response to environmental or social pressures, but were undergoing a broader cultural shift. The 9th century saw the collapse of many Maya city-states throughout the southern region. Could the people of Nixtun-Ch'ich have been swept up in a larger transformation? Perhaps an ideological or religious change that led to the abandonment of their city? This theory suggests that the Maya might have been responding to new religious ideas or external cultural influences, leaving their old cities behind in favor of something new, more aligned with the shifting tides of their civilization. As archaeologists continue to uncover more of Nixtun-Ch'ich, the mystery of its abandonment remains unsolved. The city's sudden desertion, with no clear explanation, has left behind a haunting legacy. Was it environmental collapse, internal strife, a religious shift, or something else entirely that caused the people of Nixtun-Ch'ich to leave behind their home? And as more discoveries are made in the surrounding jungle, we are left to ask, what secrets does this once great city still hold, waiting to be uncovered beneath the dense foliage and time-worn ruins? In the dense jungles of Guatemala, nestled within the heart of the Maya lowlands, lies the ancient city of Nixtun-Ch'ich. Once a thriving center of civilization, it now lies in quiet ruin, shrouded by vegetation and time. The city flourished between the 6th and 9th centuries and was home to a vibrant Maya community. Towering pyramids, intricate ball courts, and sophisticated architecture mark the city as an important hub in the Maya world. Yet, despite its prominence, Nixtun-Ch'ich was abandoned, seemingly overnight, leaving behind a complex puzzle that has intrigued archaeologists and historians for years. The most striking feature of Nixtun-Ch'ich is its layout. The city was uniquely designed with a series of impressive temples, residential buildings, and monumental structures arranged along a central axis. Archaeological studies suggest the city was built with a level of planning and precision typical of the Maya civilization, sophisticated urban planning that emphasized the alignment of structures with celestial events. Yet despite its architectural brilliance, something happened to cause its sudden abandonment. When explorers and archaeologists first stumbled upon the ruins of Nixtun-Ch'ich, they were astonished by its well-preserved state. The wide central plaza, towering pyramids, and grid-like arrangement of buildings all pointed to a city of great significance. But beneath the surface, something was amiss. Unlike many other Maya cities that experienced gradual decline due to warfare, environmental collapse, or political instability, Nixtun-Ch'ich appeared to be abandoned with eerie suddenness. There were no signs of violence, no massive destruction, and no evidence of conflict. The buildings were simply left behind, as if the city's inhabitants had walked away and never returned. What could have caused this mysterious exodus? One mainstream explanation for the abandonment of Nixtun-Ch'ich is environmental change. The Maya civilization is often thought to have suffered from prolonged droughts that devastated agriculture, which was the backbone of their economy. In the case of Nixtun-Ch'ich, evidence from nearby sites suggests that a series of severe droughts may have reduced the availability of water, triggering a collapse in food production and leading to mass migration. Could the inhabitants of Nixtun-Ch'ich have been forced to abandon their homes in search of more fertile land, leaving their once thriving city to fall into ruin? Yet, even the environmental theory raises more questions than it answers. While droughts undoubtedly affected the broader region, there is little direct evidence from the ruins of Nixtun-Ch'ich to suggest that the city's water supply had completely failed. The city's central reservoir, though not as large as those in other Maya cities, still contained traces of water during the time of its abandonment. Moreover, many other nearby Maya cities experienced similar drought conditions but did not suffer the same fate. Why then did Nixtun-Ch'ich see such a sudden and complete desertion, while other cities managed to survive longer? Another theory posits that the city's abandonment could have been due to internal social or political factors. Could Nixtun-Ch'ich have suffered from political instability or factional conflict that caused its rulers to lose control over the population? Unlike other Maya cities, which often saw power struggles between competing dynasties, there is little evidence to suggest that Nixtun-Ch'ich experienced such turmoil. Yet some believe that the city's rulers may have faced challenges from rival groups, leading to the city's sudden evacuation. Perhaps after the collapse of the political elite, the inhabitants decided to leave, abandoning the city in search of safer or more prosperous lands. But what if the cause of the abandonment was more mysterious? Something beyond environmental or political factors? Some fringe theories suggest that the people of Nixtun-Ch'ich may have been driven away by a spiritual or religious event. The Maya civilization was deeply connected to their gods and the natural world, and their cities were often built in alignment with celestial phenomena. Could there have been an omen or a celestial event, such as a comet or a rare astronomical alignment, that was interpreted as a sign from the gods, prompting the inhabitants of Nixtun-Ch'ich to abandon their city in fear or reverence? The suddenness of the abandonment, combined with the lack of any tangible destruction, suggests that something profound may have influenced the decision to leave. There is also the theory that the Maya were not simply abandoning their cities in response to environmental or social pressures, but were undergoing a broader cultural shift. The 9th century saw the collapse of many Maya city-states throughout the southern region. Could the people of Nixtun-Ch'ich have been swept up in a larger transformation, perhaps an ideological or religious change, that led to the abandonment of their city? This theory suggests that the Maya might have been responding to new religious ideas or external cultural influences, leaving their old cities behind in favor of something new, more aligned with the shifting tides of their civilization. As archaeologists continue to uncover more of Nixtun-Ch'ich, the mystery of its abandonment remains unsolved. The city's sudden desertion, with no clear explanation, has left behind a haunting legacy. Was it environmental collapse, internal strife, a religious shift, or something else entirely that caused the people of Nixtun-Ch'ich to leave behind their home? And as more discoveries are made in the surrounding jungle, we are left to ask, what secrets does this once great city still hold, waiting to be uncovered beneath the dense foliage and time-worn ruins? Beneath the bustling streets of modern-day Mexico City lies the heart of the ancient Aztec Empire, the Templo Mayor. Once the grandest temple in the capital city of Tenochtitlan, this sacred space was dedicated to the gods Huitzilopochtli, the god of war and the sun, and Tlaloc, the god of rain and fertility. Towering over the city, the Templo Mayor symbolized both divine power and the might of the Aztec civilization. It was here, atop its blood-stained steps, that one of the most chilling and mysterious practices took place: the mass sacrifice of human lives. The Templo Mayor, with its twin pyramids, loomed over Tenochtitlan, marking the center of the empire's religious and political life. Here, elaborate ceremonies, many involving the ritual sacrifice of captives, were held in honor of the gods. The most unsettling event of all was the mass sacrifice, a ritual so vast and organized that it defied belief. Spanish chroniclers, the first to document their encounters with the Aztecs in the early 16th century, describe a mass sacrifice during the reign of Emperor Moctezuma II. Thousands of captives were led to the top of the pyramid, where their hearts were torn from their chests in a ritual believed to nourish the gods and ensure the continued prosperity of the Aztec Empire. But was this truly just a religious devotion, or was there more to these rituals than meets the eye? Archaeological evidence uncovered at the Templo Mayor in the 20th century confirmed the existence of these large-scale sacrifices. Human remains, many showing signs of ritual sacrifice, were found scattered across the temple's ruins, along with ceremonial tools like obsidian blades used in the heart extraction process. The sheer number of remains found suggests that these events were not isolated, but part of a regular, ongoing practice. Layers of skeletal remains, arranged in a ritualistic manner, point to mass executions, victims of sacrificial ceremonies carried out on a grand scale. Yet, the motivations behind these mass sacrifices remain debated. The mainstream theory posits that the sacrifices were meant to appease the gods, ensuring the survival of the Aztec people by maintaining cosmic balance. The Aztecs believed the gods had sacrificed themselves to create the world, and in return, humans had to nourish them with blood. Thus, the mass sacrifices were seen not as violence, but as necessary acts of exchange. Other theories suggest that the motivations behind the sacrifices were political, not just religious. The Aztecs were a society built on conquest, and the sacrificial rituals might have served as a powerful symbol of their dominance. Captives from enemy tribes, often selected for their symbolic importance, were sacrificed not only to appease the gods, but also to demonstrate the strength of the Aztec Empire. These acts of mass sacrifice could have consolidated power, reinforcing the message that resistance to Aztec rule would come at a great cost. More speculative theories suggest the sacrifices may have had a broader, even supernatural, significance. Some researchers believe the sacrifices were tied to astrological events, with the rituals timed to coincide with celestial alignments, such as eclipses or solstices, which held great significance in Aztec cosmology. The Aztecs, skilled astronomers, may have seen these celestial events as divine signs, prompting large-scale sacrifices to ensure cosmic harmony. There is also the possibility that the sheer physical and psychological power of the Templo Mayor itself influenced the scale of these ceremonies. Could the awe-inspiring presence of the pyramid, combined with ritual chants and incense, have created a hypnotic atmosphere that allowed Aztec priests to manipulate the crowd, leading them into a collective fervor? Was the sacrifice not only a religious act, but also a means of controlling the masses? The question of why the Aztecs engaged in such extreme rituals remains haunting. What drove a civilization to conduct mass sacrifices, and how did they justify the slaughter of so many people? The accounts of Spanish conquistadors, horrified by the scale of these ceremonies, offer a glimpse into the Aztec mindset, but are also filtered through a lens of distrust and cultural difference. As the ruins of the Templo Mayor lie silent beneath the modern city, the echoes of these ancient ceremonies still linger. Was the mass sacrifice a purely religious act, or was it also a tool of political power and control? And as we continue to uncover the hidden remains of this once great civilization, we are left to ask, what deeper secrets does the Templo Mayor still hold, waiting to be revealed? Beneath the bustling streets of modern-day Mexico City lies the heart of an ancient empire, the Templo Mayor, once the grandest temple of the Aztec civilization. Located in Tenochtitlan, the capital of the Aztec Empire, the Templo Mayor was a towering monument dedicated to the gods Huitzilopochtli, the god of the sun and war, and Tlaloc, the god of rain and fertility. This sacred space was not just an architectural wonder, but also the site of one of the most chilling and mysterious practices, the mass sacrifice of human lives. The Templo Mayor, with its twin pyramids, symbolized both divine power and imperial might. It was here that the Aztecs performed elaborate religious ceremonies, many involving the ritualistic sacrifice of prisoners and captives. The most unsettling of these was the mass sacrifice, a practice so vast and organized that it challenges our understanding of ancient rituals. The most famous account of this mass sacrifice comes from Spanish conquistadors who arrived in the 16th century. According to their writings, during Emperor Moctezuma II's reign, thousands of captives were sacrificed in a single ceremony to honor the gods. Victims were led to the top of the pyramid, where their hearts were ripped from their chests, offering nourishment to the gods to ensure the prosperity of the Aztec Empire. But was this truly a simple act of devotion, or was there more to the mass sacrifice that remains unexplained? Archaeological evidence uncovered at the Templo Mayor in the 20th century supports these accounts. Human remains, showing signs of ritual sacrifice, have been found across the temple ruins, along with ceremonial tools such as obsidian blades used in the heart extraction process. The number of remains found suggests that mass sacrifices were not isolated events, but part of a larger, ongoing practice. Layers of skeletal remains, some arranged in ritualistic patterns, further suggest that these sacrifices were conducted on a grand scale. Yet, the motivations behind these mass sacrifices remain a subject of debate. The mainstream theory holds that the sacrifices were meant to appease the gods and maintain cosmic balance. The Aztecs believed that the gods had sacrificed themselves to create the world, and in return, the people had to nourish them with blood. From this perspective, the mass sacrifices were seen not as violent acts, but as necessary exchanges to ensure the survival of the Aztec civilization. However, other theories propose that the motivations were not purely religious, but political. The Aztecs were a civilization built on conquest, and the sacrificial rituals could have been a demonstration of dominance. Captives from enemy tribes, often chosen for their symbolic importance, were offered as sacrifices to both honor the gods and assert the Aztec Empire's power. The act of mass sacrifice could have served as a tool for social control, a way to remind the people and potential enemies of the empire's strength. More speculative theories suggest the mass sacrifices could have been tied to celestial events. The Aztecs were keen astronomers, and their religious practices were deeply connected to the movements of the stars and planets. Could the timing of these sacrifices have been linked to astrological phenomena, such as eclipses or solstices, which the Aztecs considered of great importance? Was the mass sacrifice a way to align their rituals with these celestial occurrences, reinforcing their connection to the divine? Additionally, some theorize that the scale of the sacrifices might have been influenced by the psychological and physical power of the Templo Mayor itself. Could the awe-inspiring pyramid, with its ceremonial chants and smoke-filled air, have created a hypnotic atmosphere that heightened the collective fervor of the participants? Was the sacrifice less about appeasing the gods and more about manipulating human consciousness to instill fear and devotion? The question of how and why the Aztecs carried out such massive sacrifices remains a haunting mystery. What drove a civilization to engage in such extreme rituals, and how did they justify the mass slaughter of so many? Spanish conquistadors, horrified by the scale of the ceremonies, provide us with a glimpse into the Aztec mindset, yet their accounts also reflect the bias of those who saw the Aztecs as barbaric. As the ruins of the Templo Mayor stand beneath the modern city, the echoes of those ancient ceremonies still linger, shrouded in mystery. Was the mass sacrifice at Templo Mayor purely religious, or was it a tool for political power and control? And as we continue to uncover the hidden remains of this once great civilization, we must ask, what deeper secrets does the Templo Mayor still hold, waiting to be revealed? Beneath the vast, arid expanse of northern Afghanistan, along the banks of the Amu Darya River, lie the ruins of Ai Khanoum, an ancient jewel of the Hellenistic world. Founded in the 3rd century BC after Alexander the Great's empire fractured, Ai Khanoum thrived as a blend of Greek and Eastern influences. Its grand temples, theaters, and palaces reflected a fusion of cultures, marking it as a vital center of the ancient world. Yet, despite its architectural marvels, the city vanished from history, leaving behind a mystery that has baffled historians for centuries. Ai Khanoum was discovered in the 1960s by French archaeologists who uncovered stunning relics of the Hellenistic era, such as statues of Greek gods, inscriptions in Greek, and remnants of a grand palace and theater. The city's unique blend of Greek and local Central Asian elements revealed a dynamic place at the crossroads of East and West, where Greek settlers mingled with native peoples. Located along trade routes, Ai Khanoum seemed destined for prosperity, yet it was abandoned over 2,000 years ago, with no clear explanation for its sudden disappearance. One leading theory suggests that nomadic tribes from the steppes of Central Asia, such as the Sakas or Yuezhi, may have destroyed the city. These groups were known for their raids and could have targeted Ai Khanoum for its wealth and cultural significance. Evidence of burned structures and disarray at the site points to a violent destruction, supporting the theory of invasion. However, the theory doesn't explain the city's sudden abandonment. There is no evidence of a prolonged siege, and the destruction does not appear to be part of a larger regional conflict. It's almost as if the inhabitants left in haste, abandoning their homes and possessions without a trace. Could a sudden cataclysm, such as disease or famine, have forced the people to flee? Another possibility ties the city's abandonment to political instability. By the 2nd century BC, the Greco-Bactrian kingdom, which Ai Khanoum was part of, had weakened due to internal divisions and pressure from the rising Parthian Empire. Could the fall of this political structure have led to the city's collapse? It's possible that Ai Khanoum's rulers fled as the kingdom crumbled, leaving the city vulnerable to looters or other invaders. But without direct evidence of such a collapse, this theory remains speculative. Additionally, political shifts in the region, such as the rise of the Kushan Empire, may have displaced the people of Ai Khanoum, leading them to abandon the city as its political center lost its power. A more intriguing theory suggests that Ai Khanoum's disappearance was tied to its unique cultural and religious identity. The city was a blend of Greek and Eastern traditions, and this fusion may have caused religious tensions. Could the abandonment have been part of a larger cultural shift, possibly triggered by a new religious movement or belief in an impending cosmic event? Temples and cultic sites at the city suggest that religion played a central role in daily life, and it's conceivable that a sudden change in religious or cultural ideology could have led to the city's abrupt abandonment. A change in religious or political ideology could have undermined the stability of Ai Khanoum, forcing its inhabitants to abandon their homes. Some fringe theories propose even more extraordinary explanations. One theory suggests that Ai Khanoum's disappearance could have been the result of a cosmic event, like a comet strike or an unexplained atmospheric phenomenon. Could such an event have caused the city's rapid evacuation, with the inhabitants fleeing in terror without leaving behind any trace? While this remains speculative, it adds another layer of mystery to the city's vanishing. Could an unexplained atmospheric anomaly have forced the people of Ai Khanoum to abandon their homes in a panic, leaving behind little evidence of what caused their sudden flight? Despite decades of research, the true cause of Ai Khanoum's disappearance remains elusive. The city's rich cultural blend, strategic location, and vibrant history suggest it was once a place of great significance. Yet, despite its promise, it slipped into oblivion. Was its disappearance the result of invasion, political collapse, or something more mysterious? The answers may be lost to time, but as we continue to explore this ancient city, one pressing question remains. What other secrets does Ai Khanoum still hold, waiting to be uncovered? Ai Khanoum's abandonment, much like many other lost cities of antiquity, continues to spark the imagination of archaeologists, historians, and enthusiasts alike. Whether the city was the victim of foreign invaders, internal collapse, or something more enigmatic, the story of Ai Khanoum remains an enduring puzzle. Every new discovery and theory brings us one step closer to understanding the mysteries of this ancient site. Yet, as with many ancient civilizations, the secrets of Ai Khanoum may never be fully understood, leaving us with a haunting glimpse into the past that still invites further exploration. Amidst the towering peaks of eastern Turkey, nestled between rugged mountains and vast plains, lies Lake Van, an expansive, deep body of water shimmering under the sun. Surrounded by the dramatic landscape of the Armenian highlands, the lake's serene surface belies the mysteries beneath. Hidden in its waters is a submerged fortress, a haunting remnant of a once thriving civilization. Discovered off the shore, this fortress has puzzled historians and archaeologists for years. How did it end up submerged, and what secrets does it hold? Lake Van, the largest in Turkey, covers 3,755 square kilometers and has been a vital life source for the surrounding region for millennia. The area is rich in history, home to the Urartian kingdom that ruled from the 9th to the 6th centuries BC. The submerged fortress was discovered within this context, but its true origins remain a mystery. The fortress, now submerged, was once a structure of great importance. Despite erosion, its walls and the remains of towers are still discernible, suggesting it was a formidable stronghold. Archaeologists have found remnants of stone buildings and towers, pointing to a multi-story, complex structure. This fortress was not just a military outpost, but a center of power and civilization. Its precise role in the defense network of the Urartian kingdom is still debated, but its placement near Lake Van makes it clear that it was an important location for trade, defense, and possibly spiritual practices. The most widely accepted theory is that the fortress belonged to the Urartians. Known for their advanced engineering and strategic prowess, the Urartians built fortresses throughout their territory to defend against rival empires and nomadic invasions. Was this fortress part of their defense network, strategically placed along Lake Van's shores? The Urartians were also known for their water-based infrastructure, which raises the possibility that the fortress had a special relationship with the lake, serving both practical and ceremonial purposes. Its proximity to the water might suggest that it was not just a military outpost, but also an integral part of the kingdom's connection to the lake, which could have held both economic and religious significance. But how did the fortress end up submerged? One possibility is that the sinking was due to a natural disaster. The region surrounding Lake Van is seismically active, with frequent earthquakes and volcanic activity. Some scholars speculate that the fortress could have been submerged after an earthquake, causing it to collapse into the lake. This theory is supported by records of past catastrophic events in the region. Could an earthquake have caused the fortress to sink, or was it intentionally submerged by the inhabitants to protect it from invaders or the forces of nature? The possibility of a natural disaster remains one of the most plausible explanations, given the area's tectonic activity. Other theories suggest a more intentional submersion. Could the fortress have been deliberately sunk as part of a ritual or religious practice? Ancient cultures often viewed water as divine, and some propose that the Urartians submerged the fortress to protect it from divine wrath, or as part of a ceremonial act to mark the end of an era. While this theory remains speculative, it adds another layer of intrigue to the mystery. The idea of using water for purification or protection in ancient cultures is not new, and such a ritualistic submersion could have been a way of symbolizing a shift in power or a religious devotion. The fortress's location, just off the shore of Lake Van, raises further questions. The region was of strategic importance to the Urartians, who controlled vast swaths of land, including parts of modern-day Turkey, Armenia, and Iran. Lake Van was a critical location for trade and military operations. Was the fortress an outpost guarding a vital trade route or protecting the kingdom from foreign invaders? Or could it have served as a symbolic structure, representing the Urartian kingdom's might at its peak? The answers to these questions remain elusive, but the importance of the site cannot be understated. It may have served as a physical manifestation of the Urartians' power, both militarily and culturally. Despite the intriguing theories, the true cause of the fortress's submersion remains unknown. The ruins of the fortress lie quietly beneath the lake, standing as a testament to a lost civilization, with secrets slowly being uncovered by modern explorers and archaeologists. The possibility of other structures beneath the water adds to the mystery. Could there be more ruins waiting to be discovered? Archaeological work continues in the area, with underwater surveys and excavations revealing new details of the submerged site. Each discovery offers clues to the city's once thriving role in the Urartian Empire, but much remains to be uncovered. As we continue to explore the submerged fortress, we are left to wonder, was it a casualty of nature, overwhelmed by time and tectonic forces? Or is there something more, hidden purpose, a lost civilization, or forgotten ritual? The answers may lie beneath the surface, waiting to be uncovered by those daring enough to seek them. The fortress remains a symbol of a vanished civilization, its mysteries far from solved. With each passing year, the lake continues to hold its secrets, offering glimpses into a past that has yet to be fully revealed. The submerged fortress is a haunting reminder of the forces of nature, history, and time, and it may take future generations to unravel the full story of its existence. In the heart of Alexandria, one of the greatest cities of the ancient world, stood the Serapeum, a grand temple dedicated to the god Serapis. The Serapeum was more than just a place of worship. It was a symbol of Alexandria's intellectual and cultural might. The temple housed a library that rivaled even the Great Library of Alexandria, making it an essential center for both religious and intellectual pursuits. But like so many ancient wonders, the Serapeum's fate took a tragic turn, leaving behind not only ruins, but also the haunting remnants of a fire whose cause remains a mystery. Perched atop the ancient city's most prominent hill, the Serapeum was an architectural marvel. Its columns soared toward the sky, and within its walls were sculptures, statues, and sacred texts celebrating both Egyptian and Greek traditions. The temple was dedicated to Serapis, a god created by the Ptolemies to unite the Greek and Egyptian people. It was a place of learning, where scholars from across the ancient world came to study philosophy, mathematics, and the sciences. In 391 AD, a catastrophic event took place. A fire broke out, consuming much of the temple and its contents. The cause of the fire is still debated, though historical accounts suggest it was sparked by religious and political tensions. The Roman Emperor Theodosius I had recently issued an edict banning pagan rituals, and the growing influence of Christianity in the region may have contributed to the temple's destruction. Pagan temples were increasingly seen as symbols of idolatry by Christian authorities, and the Serapeum, with its rich cultural heritage, became a target for those seeking to rid Alexandria of its pagan past. The fire that destroyed the Serapeum is often depicted in ancient texts as a moment of triumph for the Christian faith, but the full extent of the destruction has left many questions unanswered. Some sources describe the fire as a violent blaze, while others suggest it was a more calculated effort to erase a symbol of polytheism. Was the fire an act of religious cleansing, spurred by zealotry? Or was it the result of a political struggle, one in which the temple and its treasures were destroyed to consolidate power? The destruction of the Serapeum is intricately tied to the broader cultural and intellectual loss that Alexandria endured. The city was already famous for its library, which housed some of the most important works of antiquity. When the Serapeum was set aflame, many believe that the destruction of its library and other sacred texts represented not only a religious loss, but an intellectual one. Did the fire consume ancient wisdom passed down for centuries, knowledge that could have shaped the future of Western civilization? While the mainstream narrative suggests the fire was the result of religious or political conflict, other theories have emerged. Some have proposed that the fire was not entirely man-made, but triggered by a natural disaster. Could the Serapeum have been struck by lightning? Or was the fire sparked by another natural phenomenon? The surrounding region is prone to earthquakes, and some speculate that a tremor could have ignited the blaze. However, there is little direct evidence to support this theory, and most historical accounts attribute the fire to human action. Other, more speculative theories suggest that the fire may have been part of a larger, more mysterious event. Could the destruction of the Serapeum have been orchestrated by a secret group or society whose goal was to erase the knowledge contained within the temple? Some have even suggested that the fire was the result of an ancient ritual, a symbolic act to mark the end of an era or to destroy a repository of forbidden knowledge. This theory suggests that the Serapeum, as a center of intellectual and religious thought, may have housed secrets deemed too dangerous or powerful to survive. One of the most haunting aspects of the Serapeum fire is that the full extent of its destruction remains unclear. Excavations of the site have uncovered remnants of the temple, including colossal statues and fragments of inscriptions, but much of the temple's interior remains hidden beneath the sands of time. Could there be more to uncover beneath the rubble? More clues that could shed light on the true cause of the fire? And what might be buried within the depths of the Serapeum's ruins, knowledge, artifacts, or even texts lost forever in the flames? The destruction of the Serapeum is one of the great mysteries of ancient Alexandria. Was it the result of religious fervor, a political power struggle, or something more enigmatic? The answers may lie buried beneath the ruins, waiting to be uncovered by future generations. As we look back on the rise and fall of the Serapeum, we are left to wonder, what secrets, what knowledge, what wisdom might have been lost in the flames, and what might still be hidden, waiting to be rediscovered? In the heart of Mexico, amidst the vast arid landscape, lies the ancient city of Teotihuacan. Once the largest urban center in pre-Columbian Americas, Teotihuacan's towering pyramids, expansive plazas, and intricate murals stand as testaments to the power of a civilization that thrived long before the Aztecs. The Pyramid of the Sun, one of the largest in the world, dominates the skyline, while the Pyramid of the Moon and the Temple of the Feathered Serpent further define the city's grandeur. At its peak in the 5th century AD, Teotihuacan was a vibrant metropolis, home to tens of thousands of people. It was a center of great religious, cultural, and economic significance, with evidence of extensive trade networks reaching from Mesoamerica to the American Southwest. Yet, despite its influence and size, the city was mysteriously abandoned by the 7th or 8th century AD, leaving historians and archaeologists with many unanswered questions about its sudden decline. The cause of Teotihuacan's fall remains a subject of intense debate. The first clue came with the discovery of signs of fire and destruction in the city's heart. The Temple of the Feathered Serpent, once a grand religious and political center, was found scorched and partially collapsed, as if deliberately set on fire. This destruction, coupled with the city's abandonment, suggests a catastrophic event, whether internal or external, that led to the collapse of this once thriving city. One widely accepted theory points to internal strife, possibly resulting from social unrest or political instability. Teotihuacan's complex hierarchical society might have eventually reached a breaking point. The rulers of the city, once commanding great authority, may have faced mounting pressure from rival factions or the lower classes. Could a violent uprising, driven by dissatisfaction with the ruling elite, have led to the destruction of key temples and the city's abandonment? Some speculate that the elites lost control, causing the city's governance and religious system to collapse. Another theory links Teotihuacan's fall to environmental factors. The region is prone to periodic droughts, and evidence suggests that Teotihuacan may have experienced a prolonged dry spell before its abandonment. Since the city relied heavily on agriculture, particularly the cultivation of maize, a failure in water supply or food systems could have led to famine and mass migration. Could Teotihuacan's decline have simply been a consequence of the environment's changing conditions, with the people unable to adapt to the harsh climate? However, The true cause of Teotihuacan's collapse may have been a combination of these factors. A growing sense of instability, coupled with environmental changes, could have created the perfect storm. As resources dwindled and political structures weakened, the city might have been forced to abandon its grand ambitions. The fires and destruction in the archaeological record might reflect both environmental collapse and internal strife. Speculative theories also suggest external forces might have played a role. Some propose that invaders or foreign enemies attacked Teotihuacan with such force that it left a permanent mark on the city. However, there is no substantial evidence of a full-scale invasion, and the absence of such evidence casts doubt on this theory. Could smaller localized attacks, or a shift in trade relations that undermined the city's economy, have contributed to its downfall? Another possibility is that Teotihuacan's collapse was due to an ideological or religious shift. The people of Teotihuacan were deeply religious, and their architecture and city layout reflected the influence of their gods. Could the fall of the city have been tied to a loss of faith, or a cultural or religious transformation that prompted the people to abandon their city? The fire at the Temple of the Feathered Serpent might even symbolize the end of an era, a deliberate rejection of the beliefs and structures that once held the city together. As archaeologists continue to study the ruins of Teotihuacan, the true cause of its fall remains elusive. The city's sudden decline, its unexplained fires, and its abandoned streets all point to a mystery that has yet to be solved. Was the city's fall caused by internal strife, environmental collapse, or something more mysterious? And what remains hidden beneath the ruins waiting to be uncovered? Are there more clues still buried that could shed light on the final days of this once great civilization? The answers may lie buried in time, waiting for the right moment to be revealed. High in the mountains of southeastern Turkey, at an altitude of over 2,000 meters, sits the mysterious site of Nemrut Dağ. Towering over the surrounding plains, this ancient mountaintop is home to one of the most remarkable archaeological sites in the world. Here, colossal statues, created by the kings of Commagene, gaze toward the heavens. These statues, which include massive heads of gods, kings, and mythical creatures, some standing over 2 meters tall, are scattered across the mountain. Their faces, weathered by time, still exude an aura of power and mystery as they look out over the vast landscape below. Nemrut Dağ is the final resting place of King Antiochus I of Commagene, who ruled from 69 BC to 34 BC. The site is a testament to his ambition and religious vision, combining Greek, Persian, and Armenian influences to immortalize his reign and divine relationship with the gods. The central feature of the site is a terrace where colossal heads of gods like Apollo, Zeus, and Heracles sit atop their bodies. These figures are aligned with the rising and setting sun, indicating the builders' advanced understanding of astronomy and reverence for celestial events. However, despite the site's grandeur, the statues are incomplete. Many of the colossal heads have been detached from their bodies, scattered across the mountaintop. Some have fallen to the ground, while others are partially buried in the rubble. This raises the question, what happened to the statues, and why did they end up in such a state? The mainstream explanation for the dismembered statues points to natural causes: earthquakes, weathering, and centuries of exposure to the harsh elements may have caused the statues to deteriorate and collapse. The region around Nemrut Dağ is seismically active, and it is possible that an earthquake struck after the statues were erected, causing them to fall apart. While this theory seems plausible, it doesn't fully explain the strange arrangement of the statues and the seeming intentionality behind their placement. Could something more deliberate have caused the statues' fall? One possibility is that the destruction of the statues resulted from human intervention. The Roman Empire, which eventually absorbed Commagene, had a long history of erasing monuments and legacies of conquered peoples. Did the Romans, or later civilizations, deliberately destroy the statues of Nemrut Da to suppress the memory of Commagene and its kings? The statues, depicting Antiochus I as a divine figure, may have been seen as a threat to Roman authority. Could the toppling of these statues have been a symbolic act, meant to remove any trace of Commagene's power? Another theory suggests that the statue's destruction could have been a ritual or political act. Perhaps the people of Commagene, or even later generations, dismantled the statues as a way of reclaiming the sacred space or marking a new era. Was this act of destruction symbolic, a shift in religious or political power? If so, who initiated it, and what were their motivations? More speculative theories suggest that the statue's fall could have had a supernatural or mystical cause. The site's location on a mountain and its alignment with celestial events might have held deeper mystical significance. Could the destruction of the statues have been part of a religious ritual or cosmic event, perhaps tied to the end of an era or an ancient prophecy? Some believe that the gods themselves might have had a hand in the statue's fall, forcing the people of Commagene to abandon their idols. The mystery surrounding the vanished statues of Nemrut Da is compounded by the fact that much of the site remains unexplored, and its history remains incomplete. While the grandeur of the statues is undeniable, the true purpose behind their creation and eventual destruction remains elusive. Was it natural forces that caused their collapse, or was there a more profound reason for their dismemberment? As we stand before the shattered remains of these colossal figures, more questions than answers come to mind. The heads of the gods stare down, their eyes closed as though guarding a secret. What truly happened to the statues of Nemrut Da, and what other mysteries lie hidden beneath the mountain? Could there be more to Antiochus I's grand vision than we have yet uncovered? The answers remain shrouded in time, waiting for someone to unlock the secrets at the summit of Nemrut Da. In the heart of the Arabian Peninsula, amidst the vast, arid expanse of the Rub al-Khali, or the Empty Quarter, lies a legend that has haunted explorers and historians for centuries, the fabled city of Ubar. Known as the Atlantis of the Sands, Ubar was described in ancient texts as a prosperous city, a center of wealth and trade, famous for its extravagant palaces and its advanced knowledge of water systems in the harsh desert environment. Yet this city, with its riches and grandeur, is said to have vanished overnight, swallowed by the very sands it once conquered. The legend of Ubar dates back centuries, passed down through the stories of Arab travelers and chroniclers, most notably in the 1001 Nights. According to these tales, Ubar was a city so decadent that it angered the gods, who unleashed a cataclysmic punishment. The city's towering structures and vast wealth were said to have been destroyed in a single night, buried beneath a sea of sand. Over time, Ubar became a symbol of hubris, a cautionary tale warning against the fragility of human achievement in the face of nature's wrath. For centuries, the location of Ubar remained elusive. Some believed it was merely a myth, a story invented to warn of the dangers of the desert. But in the 20th century, advances in satellite imaging and exploration led to the discovery of a site in the desert that seemed to match the descriptions of Ubar. Known as the Mahda Oasis, the site yielded ruins of ancient walls and structures buried beneath layers of sand, suggesting that a large, thriving city had once existed in this spot. The ruins at Mahda are now believed by some to be the remnants of Ubar, though this identification remains debated. The layout of the site and the discovery of water management systems, such as wells and canals, support the idea that it was a city with an advanced understanding of desert survival. Yet the mystery of how Ubar disappeared, how a city so powerful could be swallowed by the desert, remains unsolved. The most widely accepted theory for Ubar's fall is a catastrophic environmental event. The region surrounding the Rub al-Khali is subject to periodic climatic shifts, and evidence suggests that Ubar may have suffered a massive drought or sandstorm. If Ubar's location relied heavily on underground aquifers for water, a sudden change in the climate could have drained these resources, leaving the city's inhabitants vulnerable. Could this lead to the city's rapid abandonment and eventual burial by the shifting sands? However, this explanation still raises questions. While droughts and sandstorms certainly affected the region, the speed at which Ubar disappeared suggests a more complex cause. Could the city's decline have been the result of over-exploitation of its resources? Ancient cities often flourished for a time before depleting the very resources that made them successful. If Ubar's wealth was built on its control of water and trade, it's possible that over-reliance on these resources led to the city's gradual decline. Perhaps the sands symbolized not only physical burial, but also the city's metaphorical collapse as it exhausted its own lifeblood. More speculative theories suggest that Ubar's disappearance might have been tied to something more mysterious, perhaps even supernatural. Could it have been a case of divine retribution, as described in the ancient legends? The Quran recounts the pride of Ubar's people and their punishment by God's wrath. Were the sands merely a result of natural forces, or did they represent something more, a cosmic force that erased the city in a single night? Some theories propose that Ubar's destruction was part of a deliberate act, possibly a ritualistic destruction. The city's leaders or later generations might have intentionally abandoned it in response to cultural or religious changes, or perhaps in fear of an impending invasion. Could Ubar's disappearance have been part of a greater strategy to protect its secrets, or even ensure its immortality in legend? The most fringe theories go further still, suggesting that Ubar was the site of an ancient civilization with knowledge and technologies far beyond its time. Some believe that Ubar wasn't just a city of wealth, but a repository of ancient knowledge connected to other lost civilizations, like Atlantis. Could the city's sudden disappearance have been caused by the misuse of advanced technology, triggering a cataclysmic event? If this theory holds any weight, what secrets might Ubar have contained? Knowledge that could have altered the course of history? Despite technological advances and the discovery of the Mahda Oasis, the fate of Ubar remains a tantalizing mystery. The ruins provide a glimpse into a city that may have existed long before recorded history, but the reasons for its destruction are still unclear. Was it a natural disaster, divine wrath, or something more enigmatic that caused Ubar to vanish beneath the sands? As the sands of the Rub al-Khali shift, the mystery of Ubar continues to unfold. What secrets lie buried beneath the vast dunes, waiting to be uncovered or lost forever to time? The answers may be hidden beneath the desert surface, waiting for the right moment to be revealed. In the heart of Egypt, near the modern-day town of Qom el-Ahmar, lies Hierakonpolis, a city once at the center of Upper Egypt's power and culture. It flourished during the early dynastic period, and was a vital hub for trade, religion, and politics. Known for its remarkable artifacts, including Egypt's earliest royal tombs and the famous Narmer Palette, Hierakonpolis was one of the most significant cities of its time. Yet, among its many mysteries, none is more perplexing than the Lost Flood, a catastrophic event that left a deep impact on the city and its people. Hierakonpolis's remains offer a glimpse into ancient Egypt's grandeur. The city was well organized with intricate architecture, showcasing advanced planning. But the Lost Flood is an event that has baffled historians for centuries. Ancient records and archaeological evidence point to a sudden, violent flood that devastated the city, but its cause remains uncertain. Unlike the annual flooding of the Nile, which was essential for agriculture, this flood seemed to bring about significant destruction and upheaval. The mainstream theory suggests that the flood was caused by an unusually high Nile inundation, perhaps due to a shift in the river's course or a local disaster, such as a landslide or rapid melting of snow in the Ethiopian highlands, where the Nile originates. The Nile's flooding can be unpredictable, and extreme surges could have caused localized devastation. However, this theory doesn't fully explain the degree of disruption, especially considering the way the city's structure was affected. Could something else have played a role in the destruction? What makes the Lost Flood particularly enigmatic is the evidence that the flood altered Hierakonpolis's entire urban layout. Archaeologists discovered signs of large-scale destruction, including buildings that were washed away and scattered objects, seemingly swept by powerful currents. Even more perplexing are mud brick walls that appear to have been constructed to withstand such an event. Did the city's planners anticipate the threat of a flood, or were these walls a last-ditch effort to protect the city when the disaster was already underway? Some theories propose that the flood was not caused by natural forces, but by human action. Ancient Egyptians were skilled in water manipulation for irrigation and agriculture, and it's possible that a water control structure like an artificial dam failed catastrophically. If such an infrastructure project miscalculated or failed, it could have caused a devastating flood. Yet there's little direct evidence to support this theory, and it remains speculative. Another theory suggests that the Lost Flood may have been connected to divine or supernatural forces. The ancient Egyptians had strong beliefs in the gods' control over nature, and floods were often seen as divine acts of judgment. Could the flood have been a form of divine retribution, a consequence of the people's impiety or disrespect toward the gods? If the people of Hierakonpolis viewed the flood as a divine message, it may have marked the end of an era for the city, symbolizing cosmic disfavor. This interpretation, though intriguing, remains speculative as there is no direct evidence linking the flood to any specific religious or spiritual event. Adding complexity to the mystery is the fact that Hierakonpolis was thriving at the time of the flood. The city was a powerful cultural and economic center, and it's unclear why such a devastating event would strike during its peak. Was the flood a sign of impending collapse, or was it simply an isolated disaster that changed the city's fate? Theories suggest that the flood may have triggered a chain of events that led to the city's eventual decline. Could the disaster have contributed to Hierakonpolis's fading importance? Or was the city's decline influenced by other factors, such as political instability, invasion, or environmental stress? The Lost Flood also raises questions about Hierakonpolis's abandonment. Despite its continued significance for centuries, the city began to deteriorate after the flood. Was this event the tipping point for its decline, or were other factors at play? The shifting political landscape, environmental challenges, and invasions from neighboring regions could have contributed to its downfall. Yet the flood remains the most enigmatic and direct factor tied to the city's sudden collapse. To this day, the true cause of the Lost Flood remains a mystery. Excavations have uncovered remnants of Hierakonpolis, but the flood's cause has yet to be definitively determined. Was it a natural disaster, a human-caused catastrophe, or something more mysterious that has been lost to time? The sands of the desert continue to keep their secrets, leaving us with more questions than answers. As researchers continue to dig into the ruins of Hierakonpolis, the mystery of the Lost Flood remains a compelling puzzle. Could there be more evidence buried beneath the sands, waiting to reveal the true cause of the city's destruction? The Lost Flood of Hierakonpolis still captivates historians and archaeologists alike, with the possibility that its secrets may one day come to light, providing a clearer understanding of this once great city's demise. In the heart of Egypt, near the modern town of Qom el-Ahmar, lies the ancient necropolis of Saqqara, a burial ground that once housed Egypt's kings, priests, and nobles. Among its many wonders, one of the most intriguing is the Serapeum, an underground complex where the sealed boxes of Saqqara lie, shrouded in mystery. These massive, intricately crafted stone boxes, some weighing several tons, have intrigued historians and archaeologists for centuries. Though some have been opened, revealing the remains of sacred Apis bulls, many boxes remain sealed, their contents hidden and their purpose uncertain. The Serapeum was built during the reign of Pharaoh Amasis in the 26th dynasty. The site is an imposing structure, with a long passageway flanked by colossal stone statues of sacred bulls. Inside, the burial chambers are filled with large sarcophagus-like boxes made from limestone, intricately carved and polished, suggesting immense craftsmanship. The mainstream theory is that these boxes were designed to house the mummified remains of the Apis bulls, animals believed to be living embodiments of the god Ptah. The bulls were treated as sacred beings, and after their death, they were embalmed and placed in these stone containers to be sealed and preserved for eternity. However, the mystery deepens when considering the size and construction of the boxes. How did the ancient Egyptians transport and seal such enormous containers with such precision? Some of the boxes are so finely crafted that it seems beyond the capabilities of the tools available at the time. Were these boxes intended only to house the remains of sacred bulls, or could they have been created for a purpose far more profound, possibly related to protecting something of greater value, something divine or mystical in nature? A fascinating theory suggests that the sealed boxes might have contained more than just the remains of the bulls. Could they have been repositories of secret knowledge, sacred texts, or objects tied to esoteric rituals? Some have speculated that the boxes might have stored scrolls, sacred writings like the Book of the Dead, or other mystical objects, perhaps even knowledge too powerful or forbidden for the general populace to access. The sealing of the boxes, in this view, could have been a deliberate attempt to safeguard these objects from desecration, preserving them for future generations. Despite modern attempts to uncover the contents of the remaining sealed boxes, including advanced techniques like X-ray scanning, many still lie unopened. The fact that some boxes have been opened while others remain sealed suggests the ancient Egyptians took great care in their burial practices, ensuring that what was sacred remained untouched. This selective sealing could point to the idea that not all the boxes were meant to be opened, adding to the enigma surrounding the site. Speculative theories further add to the mystery, suggesting that the boxes may not just be burial containers, but could represent a form of ancient technology or a spiritual vessel. Some believe that the boxes may have been part of a forgotten system of knowledge or power, perhaps a technology lost to time. Could these boxes have been designed to protect powerful forces or knowledge, a kind of energy or force that the ancient Egyptians sought to preserve? If so, what would that imply about their understanding of the world and the forces at play within it? More outlandish theories propose that the sealed boxes were aligned with celestial phenomena, possibly storing knowledge related to the stars or the cosmos. Ancient Egyptian architecture and rituals often reflected a deep connection to the heavens, with many temples and tombs aligned with specific celestial events. Could the boxes have been designed as part of a larger cosmic design, symbolically linking the earth with the heavens? Some believe that these boxes were not merely physical storage containers, but were also connected to an esoteric, spiritual purpose beyond what we can understand today. Standing before the sealed boxes of Saqqara, we are left with more questions than answers. What truly lies within these massive stone containers? Were they solely intended for religious purposes, or do they hold knowledge or artifacts that remain hidden from us? The lengths the ancient Egyptians went to preserve their contents suggest something far more profound than mere burial practices. Their meticulous sealing of these boxes and the care taken to protect them imply that they may have been guarding something significant, something perhaps beyond our understanding. The answers may never be fully revealed, lost to the sands of time. But the mystery of the Serapeum and its sealed boxes remains one of ancient Egypt's most captivating enigmas. The secrets they hold may be buried forever, or they may yet be uncovered, shedding light on a forgotten chapter of history that could alter our understanding of the ancient world. Hidden amidst the vast deserts of Jordan, Saudi Arabia, and Palestine, the remnants of the ancient Nabataean civilization lie buried beneath the shifting sands. Known for their control of the lucrative incense trade, the Nabataeans built impressive caravan cities that thrived long before the Roman Empire rose to power. Yet, many of these cities remain lost to history, their locations obscured by time and the harsh desert environment. Among the most famous of these cities is Petra, a stunning site carved into the cliffs of southern Jordan. With its elaborate facades, intricate tombs, and sophisticated water systems, Petra is a testament to the ingenuity of the Nabataeans. However, Petra is just one piece of the puzzle. The Nabataeans established a network of towns and fortresses, caravanserais, strategically located along ancient trade routes. These towns served as hubs for commerce and travel, yet many remain undiscovered, their histories shrouded in mystery. The exploration of Nabataean sites began in the 19th and early 20th centuries, with the discovery of Petra and other settlements like Al-Ula in Saudi Arabia. While Al-Ula is believed to have been a significant trade center, much of its full extent remains hidden. Though archaeologists have uncovered rock formations, tombs, and other signs of urban life, the true role of these towns in the Nabataean kingdom remains unclear. The traditional explanation for the decline of the Nabataeans is the Roman conquest. In the 1st century A.D., the Romans absorbed the Nabataean kingdom, integrating its trade routes into the empire. The superior infrastructure of Rome, including roads and military power, is believed to have contributed to the abandonment or destruction of the smaller towns. But this theory doesn't explain why many of the cities seem to have vanished before the Roman conquest. Were they simply absorbed by Rome, or did something else cause their disappearance? One possibility is that the decline of the Nabataeans was linked to the changing nature of trade routes. The city's prosperity was built on controlling the trade of frankincense, myrrh, and other valuable goods. However, as maritime trade routes gained importance and new overland paths opened, the Nabataeans' once dominant position may have eroded. With the rise of new trade hubs, some cities may have been abandoned as merchants bypassed them entirely. Another theory ties the disappearance of the Nabataeans to environmental factors. The desert environment, though managed through ingenious water systems like cisterns, wells, and aqueducts, is susceptible to extreme climate shifts. Could a prolonged drought have made life unsustainable for the Nabataean cities? The resulting water shortages might have led to famine or forced migration, leading to the abandonment of key sites. If this theory holds, the decline of these cities may have been the result of an environmental collapse rather than a military conquest. However, some suggest more mysterious causes. Some scholars propose that natural disasters, such as earthquakes or massive sandstorms, may have wiped out the towns. The region has a history of seismic activity, and it's not beyond the realm of possibility that a catastrophic event could have buried entire cities. The evidence for such an event is speculative, but it adds an intriguing layer to the story of the vanished cities. The most captivating theory, though, is that the Nabataeans may have deliberately abandoned their cities. The Nabataeans were deeply attuned to their environment, and they might have recognized the limitations of their trade-based empire. Faced with new challenges, such as shifting trade routes or dwindling resources, they may have decided to peacefully migrate or integrate with other Arab tribes. Rather than being conquered, they could have left their cities behind, allowing nature to reclaim what they had built. This theory suggests that the disappearance of the cities wasn't a fall, but a voluntary retreat. Additionally, some speculate that certain towns were deliberately hidden. Modern explorers have found relics of Nabataean life buried beneath the desert, but many towns remain concealed beneath layers of sand, or even by the decisions of those who lived there. These towns could still be lying beneath the surface, their secrets waiting for archaeologists to uncover. As researchers continue to uncover more of the Nabataean network, the questions about their disappearance remain. Was it a gradual decline brought on by changing trade routes and environmental collapse, or a sudden mysterious event that left their cities abandoned? How many more cities are buried in the desert, waiting to be discovered? The sands of the Arabian desert are full of untold secrets, and with each new excavation we inch closer to understanding the rise and fall of this once great civilization that controlled the trade routes of the ancient world. The search continues, and with it, the hope that the mysteries of the Nabataeans will one day be fully revealed. Nestled in the heart of Sichuan Province, China, amid the lush rivers and rugged terrain, lies the enigmatic site of Sanxingdui. This ancient city, known as Three Stars Mound, was once a prosperous and influential civilization, but its sudden disappearance around 1000 BCE continues to baffle historians and archaeologists. Discovered in the early 20th century, Sanxingdui unveiled an astonishing array of bronze artifacts, jade, gold, and pottery, remarkable works of art that have reshaped our understanding of early Chinese history. Sanxingdui's discovery sparked immediate excitement, but it also raised profound questions. The site spans about 12 square kilometers and features sacrificial pits filled with massive bronze sculptures, intricate jewelry, and ritual objects. Among the most striking finds are enormous bronze heads, some over a meter tall, with exaggerated features such as large eyes and high cheekbones. These sculptures, unlike anything found elsewhere in ancient China, suggest a highly advanced society with sophisticated artistic and metallurgical skills. Yet, despite these monumental discoveries, the culture of Sanxingdui remains largely unknown. The city of Sanxingdui was once a hub of power, marked by remarkable achievements in architecture and craftsmanship. Its art and artifacts reveal a culture that was deeply creative and influential. However, there is no known connection between the Sanxingdui civilization and the more familiar ancient Chinese dynasties, such as the Shang, despite some similarities. This leads to the question, was Sanxingdui a separate civilization, or was it part of a larger yet unidentified cultural network? The most puzzling aspect of Sanxingdui is the sudden disappearance of its people. Around 1000 BCE, after flourishing for centuries, the city was abandoned, its grandeur erased from the historical record. Unlike other ancient cities that fell due to warfare or invasion, there are no signs of destruction from external forces. The city shows no evidence of conquest and no signs of violent conflict. Instead, the abandoned site seems to suggest an abrupt and mysterious departure. What could have caused such a sudden and complete disappearance? One widely accepted explanation suggests that environmental factors may have played a role. The region around Sanxingdui is prone to flooding, and it is possible that a catastrophic event, such as a flood or a change in the course of the Minjiang River, may have rendered the city uninhabitable. The river, essential to the city's water supply and agriculture, might have shifted, either flooding the land or draining it, making the area unsuitable for continued settlement. However, this theory does not account for the city's abrupt abandonment, nor does it explain why no physical remains of the disaster have been found. Another theory proposes that political collapse within the city led to its abandonment. Sanxingdui's society, with its complex social structures and centralized governance, may have faced internal turmoil. The collapse of the ruling elite, or social unrest, might have caused a breakdown in order, leading to the sudden abandonment of the city. Yet, no evidence of internal strife, such as warfare or revolt, has been found. This leaves the question of why the city's people left without a clear answer. A more speculative theory suggests that the disappearance of Sanxingdui may have been tied to a spiritual or ritualistic event. Given the elaborate nature of the city's religious practices, it is possible that the people of Sanxingdui experienced a crisis of faith or a significant religious transformation. Some believe that the people may have abandoned the city following a celestial omen or divine sign, believing that their gods had turned against them. Could the sudden disappearance be linked to a religious or spiritual awakening that led the population to leave in search of new lands? Some fringe theories go even further, proposing that the city's destruction was not a natural or political event, but was the result of some form of supernatural force. These theories speculate that Sanxingdui may have been an advanced civilization with knowledge or technologies far beyond its time. Could the city's disappearance have been tied to the misuse of advanced knowledge or some cataclysmic event that destroyed the city? This theory raises the tantalizing question of whether Sanxingdui could have possessed secrets of great power, lost to time and history. The mystery of Sanxingdui is deepened by the fact that many of the ruins remain unexcavated, leaving much of the city's story untold. While some artifacts have been discovered, the true scale of the civilization and the cause of its downfall remain unclear. Could more secrets lie buried beneath the earth, waiting to be uncovered? What if the answers to the disappearance of Sanxingdui are hidden within the unexplored parts of the site? Sanxingdui's sudden disappearance remains one of the most intriguing mysteries in ancient history. Whether caused by environmental changes, political collapse, or something more mysterious, the answers remain elusive. The lost civilization of Sanxingdui has left us with tantalizing clues, but no definitive answers. As archaeologists continue to explore the site, we may one day uncover the truth about why this extraordinary city vanished from history. But for now, the fate of Sanxingdui and the people who once thrived there remains an enigma. Nestled in the American Midwest, near the confluence of the Mississippi, Missouri, and Illinois rivers, lies the ancient city of Cahokia, one of the largest pre-Columbian settlements in North America. At its peak, the city, home to tens of thousands of people, was a flourishing center of the Mississippian culture. Among its many architectural wonders is Woodhenge, an extraordinary circular structure of wooden posts used as an astronomical observatory. This site not only highlights the Mississippians' advanced understanding of the cosmos, but also ties into the ongoing mystery of Cahokia's sudden decline and the abandonment of its once precise astronomical alignment. Woodhenge was located near the heart of Cahokia, constructed from large upright posts arranged in a circle. It was strategically aligned with the sun's movements, marking the solstices and equinoxes and serving as a ceremonial and calendrical device. The structure's function as both a calendar and a ceremonial space illustrates the sophisticated knowledge of the Mississippian people. But despite its significance, Woodhenge's destruction and the eventual fall of Cahokia leave historians and archaeologists searching for answers. What caused the collapse, and why did the alignment of Woodhenge lose its meaning? Mainstream theories often cite a combination of environmental, social, and political factors for Cahokia's downfall. Archaeological evidence points to deforestation, soil depletion, and climate change. The city thrived on intensive agriculture, but as the land became overworked and forests cleared, the soil's ability to sustain crops diminished. A prolonged drought or shifting climate may have played a role in destabilizing the city. Could the destruction of Woodhenge reflect these environmental stresses, perhaps symbolizing the collapse of a once thriving civilization? Another theory suggests internal political struggles contributed to the city's decline. Cahokia had a complex social and political structure, and there is evidence that the ruling elite faced internal pressures. As the city's leadership weakened, the loss of power could have led to social upheaval, which may have contributed to the abandonment of Woodhenge. Was the structure's disintegration a result of political instability, symbolizing the crumbling of the city's social order? Or was the decline of Cahokia more gradual, driven by factors beyond internal strife? Beyond the environmental and political explanations, some theories venture into more speculative realms. One possibility is that Woodhenge's destruction was linked to a spiritual or religious crisis. The people of Cahokia were deeply religious, and their understanding of the cosmos was intricately tied to their rituals. Could the disintegration of Woodhenge represent a divine judgment, marking the end of an era? Perhaps the Mississippian people saw the collapse of their sacred structure as a cosmic sign, leading to mass disillusionment or a spiritual awakening. Was the city's downfall a reflection of supernatural forces or a symbolic gesture to mark a cultural transformation? The most intriguing, though highly speculative ideas suggest that Cahokia's fall might be linked to external factors. Some have proposed that the city may have been invaded, or that an outside force might have destroyed its sacred sites. While there is no concrete evidence of a full-scale invasion, the theory remains an interesting possibility. Could an unknown external power have sought to erase Cahokia's cultural identity, including its spiritual epicenter, Woodhenge? What makes the mystery even more compelling is that some of Cahokia's structures, including Woodhenge, have been deliberately hidden or remain unexplored. The city's ruins offer only a glimpse into its once great society, and the deeper parts of Woodhenge have yet to be uncovered. Could more evidence lie beneath the surface, waiting to shed light on the final days of the Mississippian civilization? The absence of written records from the period means historians are left to piece together the story from artifacts, oral traditions, and the ruins themselves. What caused the collapse of Cahokia and the abandonment of Woodhenge? Was it simply environmental decline, political fragmentation, or something more profound? The answers may be hidden beneath layers of soil and time, but for now, the mystery of Cahokia and its sacred site endures. As the mounds rise silently above the plains, they continue to whisper secrets of a lost civilization, one that understood the cosmos with incredible precision, only to be swallowed by time and circumstance. The story of Woodhenge and its city remains an enigma, inviting wonder and speculation for generations to come. In the heart of modern-day Crete lies one of the most intriguing mysteries of ancient history, the Phaistos disk. Discovered in 1908 by archaeologist Luigi Pernier at the Minoan Palace of Phaistos, this small, flat clay disc, about 6 inches in diameter, is inscribed with a spiral of strange symbols. These symbols, unlike anything seen in other ancient Mediterranean cultures, have puzzled scholars for over a century. The Phaistos disk, dating to around 1450 BCE during the height of the Minoan civilization, offers a tantalizing glimpse into a lost form of communication, but its true purpose and meaning remain a mystery. The disk's spiral design, with symbols stamped into the clay, suggests it was a form of printing or an early attempt at written language. The use of stamps instead of carved inscriptions is unique, and the symbols themselves appear to combine known elements of later Greek alphabets with others that are entirely unfamiliar. Despite extensive study, no one has been able to definitively translate or decode the script, and theories about its meaning remain speculative. Some scholars suggest that the disk is an early form of Minoan writing, potentially a precursor to the Greek alphabet, while others propose that it represents a completely unknown language or even a lost civilization. The lack of written records and the destruction of much of the Minoan civilization have made understanding the Phaistos disk even more challenging. In addition to the disk itself, other Minoan scripts, like Linear A, have been found, but these too remain largely undeciphered. unlike later cultures that left behind numerous inscriptions for comparison. The Minoans left very few written records, compounding the difficulty of unlocking their language. Many believe that the Phaistos disk might have once been part of a larger collection of documents, perhaps an archive or library, that could have provided vital context. However, much of this material was likely destroyed during the catastrophic events that befell the Minoan civilization around 1450 BCE. One prevailing theory is that the Minoans were severely affected by the eruption of the Thera volcano, a natural disaster that caused widespread devastation. The eruption likely triggered tsunamis and ash clouds, devastating coastal settlements and disrupting the Minoan economy. If the Minoans had kept written records, they may have been lost along with the palaces and archives destroyed by the eruption. In this context, the Phaistos disk could be one of the last remaining records of the Minoan world, a relic of a civilization that was never fully understood, now lost beneath layers of time and history. Another theory posits that the Phaistos disk was not a communication tool at all, but rather a ceremonial object. Some speculate that the disk may have been used in religious rituals, perhaps by the Minoan priesthood, who practiced elaborate ceremonies dedicated to the gods. The Minoans were known for their reverence of the bull, the goddess, and the sacred feminine, and it's possible the symbols on the disk were linked to these beliefs. Could the disk have been part of a larger system of knowledge, encoded in a form that was never meant to be deciphered by anyone but the initiated? In recent years, fringe theories have even suggested that the disk contains hidden knowledge or ancient wisdom encoded in a secret language or encrypted in a form of ancient code. Some believe it might be a key to unlocking lost technologies or understanding the cosmos, connecting the Minoans to a deeper, esoteric tradition of knowledge. While these theories venture into the realm of speculation, they highlight the enduring fascination with the Phaistos disk as more than just a linguistic artifact, perhaps a gateway to secrets lost to time. The destruction of much of the Minoan civilization further complicates efforts to understand the disk. Without the archives that might have explained its purpose, and with no other clear examples of Minoan writing to compare it to, the Phaistos disk remains an enigma. Its symbols may hold the key to understanding the Minoan language, but whether they were part of a broader system of communication or a unique object with a special purpose remains unclear. Despite the many theories and ongoing research, the true meaning of the Phaistos disk is still lost to history. Was it a communication tool, a ceremonial object, or something far more enigmatic? What knowledge might it have contained, and why has it remained so resistant to understanding? Perhaps the answers lie buried beneath the layers of time, waiting to be uncovered by future generations of archaeologists and historians. As the Phaistos disk rests behind glass, its intricate symbols continue to defy interpretation, leaving us with more questions than answers. What did the Minoans intend to share with the world through this mysterious object, and what secrets have been lost forever? The Phaistos disk remains one of the greatest unsolved puzzles of the ancient world, and as research continues, its mysteries may one day be unlocked, revealing a forgotten chapter in the story of one of the earliest and most advanced civilizations in history. Nestled in the mountains of Oaxaca, Mexico, lies the ancient city of Monte Alban, a symbol of the power of the Zapotec civilization. Its grand architecture, including towering pyramids, vast plazas, and elaborate tombs, reflects a society that thrived for over 1,000 years. However, despite its power, Monte Alban harbors a mystery that has perplexed historians for centuries: the Great Zapotec Rebellion, a violent uprising that led to the city's eventual abandonment. What caused this sudden upheaval, and why did Monte Alban never recover? Monte Alban, strategically located high above the fertile valley, was the heart of Zapotec culture and politics. The city's rulers exercised control over a vast network of surrounding towns and its monumental structures symbolized both their authority and the city's religious and political importance. But despite this power, Monte Alban faced internal challenges. The Great Zapotec Rebellion struck at the core of the city, leaving behind signs of devastation that have yet to be fully understood. Archaeological evidence suggests the rebellion was not a minor event. Important structures, such as temples and tombs, were desecrated, and the city's infrastructure showed clear signs of violent disruption. The rebellion was organized, with specific targets aimed at the political and religious centers of power. But who were the rebels, and what motivated them to rise against the Zapotec rulers? Were they part of an internal uprising driven by social or political dissatisfaction, or was there more to this sudden and destructive revolt? Mainstream theories propose that the rebellion arose from social unrest within Zapotec society. The Zapotecs were governed by a powerful elite, and evidence suggests the lower classes may have grown disillusioned with the ruling class. Could the Great Zapotec Rebellion have been a revolt against the elite's increasingly oppressive rule? The destruction of sacred sites, such as royal tombs, could have been a symbolic act, an attempt to challenge the divine authority of the rulers. However, this explanation doesn't fully address the scale and suddenness of the rebellion. The rebels were highly organized, suggesting they may have had a deep understanding of the city's political structure. Was this rebellion a spontaneous act of defiance, or did it stem from a larger conspiracy involving rival city-states or external forces? The idea that outside influences played a role in the downfall of Monte Alban cannot be dismissed, though no direct evidence has been found to support this theory. In addition to the social and political theories, there are suggestions that the rebellion had a religious component. The destruction of royal tombs and sacred temples points to a potential religious conflict. Could the rebellion have been driven by a desire to replace the Zapotec religious system with a new belief system? The desecration of sacred spaces may have symbolized a rejection of the divine authority of the rulers, marking the collapse of the city's spiritual order. Some even entertain more speculative theories, suggesting that the rebellion was influenced by supernatural or cosmic factors. The region is seismically active, and some believe that the rebels may have been motivated by natural disasters, such as earthquakes, which were often interpreted as signs of divine displeasure. Could the rebellion and the fall of Monte Alban have been seen as a cosmic event, a way to restore balance in a world disrupted by the gods? The most pressing question remains: why did the Great Zapotec Rebellion lead to the downfall of Monte Alban, and why did the city never recover? After the rebellion, the city's power declined, and it was gradually abandoned. While the exact timeline of the city's decline is unclear, it appears that the rebellion marked a tipping point that led to the collapse of the Zapotec state. What happened to the people of Monte Alban after the fall? Did they migrate to other parts of Oaxaca, or were they absorbed into rival cultures? The lack of written records makes it difficult to answer these questions, and much of the history of the rebellion remains lost to time. As the ruins of Monte Alban remain silent, the mystery of the Great Zapotec Rebellion continues to haunt historians and archaeologists. Was it a power struggle, a religious conflict, or a response to shifting political and environmental forces? The absence of written records leaves us to piece together the story from artifacts and the remnants of the city itself. What caused the rebellion, and what led to the eventual abandonment of one of the greatest cities of ancient Mesoamerica? Monte Alban stands as a powerful reminder of the fragility of even the most powerful civilizations. The Great Zapotec Rebellion and the city's subsequent fall remain one of the great unsolved mysteries of ancient history. The answers may lie hidden beneath the rubble of the ancient city, waiting to be uncovered by future generations. What truths remain buried beneath the mounds of Monte Alban, waiting to reveal the final chapter of its rise and fall? At the foot of the Great Pyramid of Giza, nestled among the desert sands of Egypt, stands one of the most iconic and enigmatic monuments in the world, the Great Sphinx. Carved from the limestone bedrock, this colossal statue of a lion with a human head has gazed out over the Nile Valley for over 4,500 years. With its impressive size, 66 feet high and 240 feet long, the Sphinx has long been a symbol of ancient Egypt's power and mystery. But there is one feature of this iconic monument that has sparked endless speculation and intrigue: the disappearance of the Sphinx's nose. The Sphinx's face, with its serene yet commanding expression, has fascinated archaeologists, historians, and visitors alike for centuries. Yet, the nose, a prominent feature on any statue, has been missing for as long as we can remember. The absence of the Sphinx's nose has led to a great deal of mystery and debate. How did it disappear, and why has it never been restored? One of the most widely accepted explanations is that the nose was deliberately damaged during the Middle Ages. According to historical records, the nose was struck off by a Sufi Muslim iconoclast named Muhammad Sa'im al-Dahar in the 14th century. Al-Dahar, who was a zealot opposed to the worship of idols, is said to have vandalized the Sphinx as an act of religious reform. This theory is supported by writings from the time, which mention the destruction of the statue's nose as part of a broader campaign against pagan idols and statues in Egypt. But this explanation raises several questions. Why would a statue, so long an icon of Egypt's grandeur, be singled out for such destruction? And why, if Al-Dahar's actions were so significant, is there no clear evidence of his deeds? No written records or corroborating evidence that he was responsible for the damage? Could the Sphinx have been a symbol for something more profound, something worth attacking during a time of religious fervor? Another explanation points to the possibility that the Sphinx's nose was damaged long before the 14th century. Some suggest that the nose could have been damaged in antiquity, perhaps as a result of an earthquake or natural erosion. The soft limestone from which the Sphinx was carved is vulnerable to weathering, and over the millennia, the statue has undoubtedly been exposed to numerous natural elements that could have eroded or dislodged parts of the monument. Could the nose have simply fallen off over time, leaving behind a broken relic of a once perfect figure? Yet, some scholars have speculated that the disappearance of the Sphinx's nose could be part of a deeper, more ancient mystery. There is evidence to suggest that the Sphinx may have been buried under sand for much of its early history, with its head and upper body only emerging during the 18th century. What if the statue's nose was intentionally removed or altered by earlier civilizations who sought to reshape its meaning? Could the Sphinx have originally had a different nose, one that was later modified or erased for symbolic reasons? Adding to the mystery are fringe theories that suggest a more unconventional explanation. Some have proposed that the removal of the Sphinx's nose was not the work of humans at all, but was instead caused by cosmic or divine forces. According to some alternative theories, the Sphinx represents an ancient, forgotten knowledge, and the nose's disappearance could be the result of an esoteric act, a symbolic erasure of knowledge that is tied to a larger, hidden narrative of human history. This theory, while speculative, hints at a much deeper mystery. Could the Sphinx, and the loss of its nose, be part of a larger story that is yet to be understood? Others suggest that the Sphinx's missing nose is symbolic of a larger cultural and historical erasure, one that reflects the fall of ancient Egyptian power and the changing tides of civilization. The Sphinx, as an enduring symbol of Egypt's past glory, may have been deliberately altered over time to reflect the diminishing influence of the ancient world in the face of new religions, new powers, and new ideologies. The removal of the nose could then be seen not just as a physical act, but as a metaphorical one, representing the decline of Egypt's ancient cultural and religious heritage. Despite these various theories, the disappearance of the Sphinx's nose remains unresolved. Each explanation, from the religious zealotry of the Middle Ages to the natural erosion of stone, offers a plausible reason for the loss, yet none provide definitive proof. What we are left with is a broken statue, staring out into the horizon, its face altered and incomplete. As we stand before the great Sphinx, its eyes still piercing the desert air, we are left to wonder, what is the true story behind the missing nose? Was it an act of destruction, an accident of nature, or part of a deeper, hidden narrative? The sands of time continue to guard the secrets of this ancient monument, and the mystery of the Sphinx's nose remains just one more piece of Egypt's enigma. What other answers lie buried beneath the desert, waiting to be uncovered by those who dare to ask the right questions? Nestled in the rolling hills of southeastern Turkey, Göbekli Tepe stands as one of the most remarkable and mysterious archaeological sites in the world. This ancient site, with its massive stone pillars, some weighing up to 20 tons, rises from the earth like silent sentinels from a forgotten age. The site's megalithic structures, arranged in circular and oval formations, date back to around the 10th millennium BCE, making Göbekli Tepe the world's oldest known temple complex. The purpose and significance of this site have baffled archaeologists and historians, and its deliberate burial remains one of the greatest mysteries in ancient history. Göbekli Tepe was first uncovered in the 1990s, revealing a labyrinth of stone pillars adorned with intricate carvings of animals, geometric patterns, and enigmatic symbols. The carvings are believed to represent a complex cosmology, with animals such as lions, snakes, and birds, possibly holding spiritual or symbolic significance. The site appears to have served as a place of ritual, a communal gathering place where early human societies may have connected with the divine or natural forces. However, the most perplexing aspect of the site is its deliberate burial sometime around 8000 BCE, shortly after it was built. Mainstream theories suggest that the burial of Göbekli Tepe was a form of ritual closure, common in ancient cultures. After fulfilling its spiritual purpose, the site may have been intentionally covered with earth to preserve its sacredness, perhaps as a way to protect it from desecration or to mark the end of an era. While this idea seems plausible, it doesn't fully explain the enormity of the task. The effort involved in burying such a large and complex site, requiring significant coordination, raises the question of whether the burial was purely spiritual, or if there were more profound reasons behind it. One possible explanation links the burial of the site to a dramatic shift in cultural or religious beliefs. The construction of Göbekli Tepe occurred during a period of significant change in human society, as hunter-gatherer communities began transitioning to more settled agricultural societies. The people of Göbekli Tepe may have abandoned their ritual practices in favor of new ways of life. The burial could have symbolized this shift, marking the end of an era defined by nomadic traditions and the beginning of more permanent settlements. Another theory connects the burial of the site to environmental changes. Around 8000 BCE, the Earth was emerging from the Younger Dryas, a period marked by dramatic climatic shifts. Some researchers suggest that these environmental changes, such as cooling temperatures and altered weather patterns, could have rendered the region less hospitable. Faced with these changes, the people of Göbekli Tepe may have buried their sacred site as a way of protecting it from the forces of nature, or to preserve their cultural legacy in an uncertain environment. Additionally, some have speculated that the burial could have been a response to external threats, such as an invasion or the arrival of a new cultural influence. Although no direct evidence of conflict has been found, the idea that the site was buried to protect it from outside forces remains a possibility. This theory proposes that the people of Göbekli Tepe, perhaps fearing the destruction of their sacred space, may have buried it to shield it from external enemies or to prevent desecration. More speculative theories venture into the realm of the mystical and the unknown. The alignment of Göbekli Tepe with celestial events, along with astronomical motifs in its carvings, suggests that the people who built it had a sophisticated understanding of the cosmos. Some researchers propose that the burial of the site may have been part of a larger cosmic ritual, marking the end of a celestial cycle or a shift in spiritual beliefs. Others even suggest that the burial could have been a form of spiritual renewal, performed to appease divine forces or to ensure the continuity of life. Despite the many theories, the true reason behind the burial of Göbekli Tepe remains an enigma. Was it a spiritual act of preservation, a response to environmental or political upheaval, or something even more profound? The sheer scale of the site's burial suggests a deeper, more significant purpose, one that remains hidden beneath the layers of earth. The mystery of Göbekli Tepe invites us to ponder the knowledge and beliefs of the people who constructed it. What did they seek to protect, and what secrets lie buried beneath the soil, waiting to be uncovered? While the answers may be lost to time, the questions remain, compelling us to look deeper into the past and explore the mysteries that continue to shape our understanding of ancient civilizations. As researchers continue to excavate Göbekli Tepe, one thing is certain: the site remains a captivating testament to early human ingenuity and spiritual life. Its legacy, shrouded in mystery, urges us to explore further, hoping that future discoveries will help us unlock the secrets of this ancient and enigmatic site. Beneath the tranquil waters of the Mediterranean Sea, just off the coast of Egypt, lies one of the greatest underwater archaeological discoveries of the 21st century, the sunken port city of Thonis-Heracleion. Once a thriving, vibrant trading hub and gateway to ancient Egypt, this long-lost city was a place of immense cultural and commercial importance. Named after the gods Thonis and Heracles, it was a city where Egyptian and Greek influences collided, where goods, ideas, and cultures from all over the ancient world converged. But by the time the city was rediscovered in the early 2000s, Thonis-Heracleion had disappeared into the sea, leaving behind only tantalizing hints of its former glory. The city was located near the entrance to the Nile Delta, a prime position for trade and maritime activity. Thonis-Heracleion is thought to have served as Egypt's main port during the first millennium BC, facilitating trade between Egypt and Greece, and likely other parts of the Mediterranean. The city was mentioned in several ancient texts, including those by Herodotus and Plutarch, but for centuries, its exact location was unknown, and many considered it little more than a myth or legend. That changed in 2000, when underwater archaeologists, led by Franck Godiot, discovered the remains of the city submerged off the coast near Alexandria. What they found was astonishing. Over 6,000 artifacts were recovered, including statues of gods and pharaohs, inscriptions, ancient coins, and even entire ships, many of which were perfectly preserved under layers of silt. The most striking discovery, however, was the sheer size and sophistication of the sunken city. Monumental stone structures, large temples dedicated to Egyptian gods, and intricate city planning revealed a once thriving metropolis that had flourished as an important center of trade and culture. Yet, despite the richness of the finds, one question looms large. What caused Thonis-Heracleion to vanish beneath the waves? The mainstream explanation suggests that the city's demise was due to a combination of natural disasters. The region around the Nile Delta is seismically active, and it is believed that a series of earthquakes, possibly accompanied by floods or tidal waves, may have caused the city to sink gradually over time. Rising sea levels, compounded by the region's unstable geology, could have played a role in submerging the city. Over time, the ground beneath Thonis-Heracleion may have simply given way, sending the city into the sea. However, This explanation doesn't fully account for the suddenness of the city's disappearance. The evidence suggests that the city was not abandoned in a slow, gradual decline, but rather collapsed almost entirely in a relatively short period. Could there have been a more catastrophic event that precipitated the sinking of the city? Some archaeologists speculate that a major earthquake, followed by a series of tsunamis, may have caused parts of the city to sink rapidly into the Mediterranean. Yet, no direct evidence has been found to suggest that a single, cataclysmic event triggered the collapse. Other theories venture into more speculative territory. Some suggest that Thonis-Heracleion was the victim of human intervention, perhaps a deliberate act of destruction, either through military action or political conflict. Was the city destroyed as a result of a war, or was it abandoned in the wake of political turmoil? This theory, while intriguing, is difficult to prove, as no historical records have been found to document such an event, and the city appears to have been functioning well before its submersion. Adding another layer of intrigue to the mystery is the fact that despite being submerged for over 2 millennia, Thonis-Heracleion's remains were remarkably well preserved. The silt and mud that covered the city acted as a natural preservative, keeping the artifacts and buildings in excellent condition. Could this perfect preservation indicate that the city's fall was not merely a result of natural forces, but a sign of something more enigmatic? Was the submersion of Thonis-Heracleion part of a larger cosmic or divine plan, a mysterious intervention to erase an ancient hub of power and influence? There are even fringe theories that connect the city's disappearance to the idea of lost civilizations or ancient technologies. Some have suggested that Thonis-Heracleion could have been the site of advanced knowledge or even an ancient, forgotten civilization that had harnessed forces beyond our understanding. Could the city's sudden disappearance be tied to the loss of knowledge or a failure to control some powerful force? This line of thinking invokes comparisons with other mysterious ancient sites, such as Atlantis or the lost city of Ubar, where myth and history intertwine. As the sea continues to reveal more of Thonis-Heracleion's buried secrets, the question remains: what truly caused the fall of this once great city? Was it simply a result of natural disasters, or was something more mysterious at play? Could there be more hidden beneath the surface, waiting to be uncovered, that will give us a deeper understanding of the city's fate? The remains of Thonis-Heracleion lie silently at the bottom of the Mediterranean, its once proud temples and statues now buried under layers of time and water. As archaeologists continue their work, the full story of Thonis-Heracleion's rise and fall remains one of history's great mysteries, one that may yet hold untold secrets about the ancient world and its lost cities. In the vast, arid plains of modern-day Pakistan, near the banks of the Indus River, lies one of the most remarkable and enigmatic cities of the ancient world, Mohenjo-Daro. Part of the Indus Valley civilization, Mohenjo-Daro was a thriving metropolis, home to tens of thousands of people, with well-planned streets, advanced drainage systems, and stunning architectural feats. Its layout, precise and organized, suggests a society that was both sophisticated and highly advanced, rivaling the greatest civilizations of the ancient world. Yet, by around 1900 BCE, this city, along with others of the Indus Valley, was abandoned, and the reasons for its collapse remain a profound mystery. As archaeologists uncover the ruins of Mohenjo-Daro, what stands out most is the city's orderliness. Wide streets, multi-story buildings, and public bathhouses suggest a well-functioning society with a level of urban planning that would not be seen again for centuries. The city's advanced water systems, with drains running through every street, and its well-maintained granaries, demonstrate a people who had mastered the art of urban living. But despite its sophistication, Mohenjo-Daro and the rest of the Indus Valley civilization left behind no written records, and their sudden disappearance continues to baffle historians. What happened to this once great city? The mainstream explanation for the collapse of Mohenjo-Daro points to environmental changes. The region around the Indus River is prone to flooding, and it is possible that a series of floods over several centuries slowly undermined the city's infrastructure. As the river changed course or became less predictable, it may have caused destruction to Mohenjo-Daro's irrigation systems and farmland, making it difficult for the city's inhabitants to sustain themselves. Some scholars also point to a drying up of the river system, which would have further depleted resources, leading to the eventual abandonment of the city. However, these theories do not fully explain why the city was abandoned so suddenly, or why other Indus Valley cities, like Harappa, also experienced similar fates around the same time. Further complicating the picture is the evidence of a violent end. While much of Mohenjo-Daro appears to have been abandoned over time, some excavations have uncovered signs of destruction, burned buildings, evidence of bodies found in positions suggesting sudden death, and signs of conflict. These findings have led some to speculate that Mohenjo-Daro may have been the victim of an invasion or internal strife. Yet, no evidence of a clear enemy has been found, and the absence of a large-scale military presence in the area leaves us with more questions than answers. Was the collapse of Mohenjo-Daro caused by a local uprising, or was it destroyed by an outside force? Or was it simply a societal collapse driven by internal pressures? Some alternative theories venture into the realm of speculation. One such theory suggests that Mohenjo-Daro may have been struck by a natural disaster, such as an earthquake, that caused massive structural damage to the city and disrupted its entire functioning system. The region surrounding Mohenjo-Daro is seismically active, and earthquakes in ancient times could have led to widespread devastation, yet no direct evidence of a large-scale disaster has been conclusively linked to the city's collapse. Another, more fringe theory suggests that the people of Mohenjo-Daro met their end through some kind of catastrophic event, perhaps even linked to the use of advanced technologies. Some researchers have pointed to the presence of unusually high levels of radiation found in certain layers of the city, suggesting the possibility of some kind of nuclear catastrophe. This idea, though highly speculative and not widely accepted, raises intriguing questions. Could the people of Mohenjo-Daro have possessed technologies that were far ahead of their time? Or were they struck by a force from the heavens that forever altered the course of their civilization? There are also those who believe that the collapse of Mohenjo-Daro was the result of an ideological or spiritual shift. The Indus Valley civilization, unlike many other ancient societies, left no written records, which makes it difficult to understand their religious or cultural practices. Could the people of Mohenjo-Daro have experienced a dramatic change in belief systems, leading them to abandon their city in favor of a new way of life? Or could the decline of Mohenjo-Daro have been a consequence of the breakdown of societal order, with the urban elite losing control over the population and no longer able to maintain the city's complex infrastructure? What is certain is that Mohenjo-Daro's sudden disappearance remains one of the great mysteries of the ancient world. The city, which once thrived and boasted the most advanced urban planning in the ancient world, stands in ruins today. The people who built it, with their meticulous design and impressive technology, left no written record of their civilization. They built a city that could have withstood the tests of time, only to vanish without a trace. As we continue to study the ruins of Mohenjo-Daro, we are faced with more questions than answers. What caused the sudden collapse of this once great city? Was it environmental, social, or something far more mysterious? And as the sands of time continue to erode the remnants of this ancient metropolis, we are left to wonder, what more might lie hidden beneath the earth, waiting to reveal the full story of the fall of Mohenjo-Daro? The answers may be buried, but the search continues and the mystery remains. Nestled among the cliffs of southern Jordan, the ancient city of Petra remains one of the most breathtaking archaeological sites in the world. Known for its stunning rose-red rock-cut architecture, Petra was once a thriving center of trade and culture, especially during the height of the Nabataean kingdom in the 1st century BC. The city's iconic treasury, or Al-Khazna, stands as a testament to the ingenuity and wealth of its creators. Its grand columns and intricate carvings symbolize Petra's prosperity, yet its history is marred by a haunting mystery, an unexplained fire that ravaged the interior of the treasury. The treasury, built as a tomb and symbolic of the Nabataean power, was a masterpiece of design. It was adorned with statues of gods and reliefs that illustrated the wealth and influence Petra commanded along trade routes connecting east and west. However, while the exterior of the treasury remains largely intact, the inside shows signs of intense fire damage. The walls and artifacts within the treasury display signs of scorching and soot, raising the question, what caused the fire, and who or what was behind it? Mainstream theories often link the fire to the period following Petra's conquest by the Romans in the 2nd century AD. After the Nabataean kingdom fell under Roman rule, Petra's importance declined, and it became a target for plunder. Some historians believe that the fire could have been part of a larger Roman campaign to erase the city's cultural significance. Perhaps it was an attempt to desecrate the tomb of a powerful Nabataean ruler or to loot valuable artifacts hidden inside. If this were the case, it might have been a symbolic gesture marking the end of the Nabataean era. However, the sudden and concentrated nature of the fire within the treasury challenges this explanation. While Petra's fall to the Romans occurred over time, the damage to the treasury appears to have happened swiftly and with precision. Some suggest that the fire could have been deliberately set, perhaps to destroy specific items or documents of importance, which raises questions about political or cultural motivations. Could the fire have been linked to a power struggle, aimed at erasing evidence of Nabataean wealth or influence? Another theory proposes that the fire may have been the result of an internal accident or natural disaster. Petra, located in an earthquake-prone region, could have been struck by seismic activity, potentially causing structural damage to the treasury. This damage could have triggered a fire, especially if incense burners or other flammable materials were involved. Though plausible, this theory lacks clear evidence, and the targeted nature of the fire makes it seem unlikely that the damage was purely accidental. Some researchers suggest that the destruction of the treasury could have been part of a religious or ritualistic act. The Nabataeans were known for their religious practices, and the fire may have been a ceremonial offering to the gods. Perhaps the treasury, with its intricate carvings and sacred inscriptions, was considered a space that needed to be ritually cleansed or destroyed to initiate a new phase of spiritual life. This theory draws parallels to other ancient cultures that used fire in rituals to invoke divine favor or signal the end of an era. Further speculative theories venture into the realm of the mystical or celestial. Some believe that the fire could be linked to a larger cosmic event, such as an omen or a prophecy. Petra's location within a dramatic landscape of towering cliffs and secretive tombs gives the site an air of mystery, and it's possible that the destruction of the treasury was tied to a larger, unspoken narrative, perhaps connected to the heavens. Could the fire have been a celestial sign, a warning from the gods, or a cosmic event beyond human understanding? Despite these various theories, the true cause of the fire remains elusive. Was it an act of conquest, an accidental disaster, a ritualistic act, or something more mysterious? What was lost in the flames, and what knowledge might still be hidden in the ruins? The treasury of Petra, standing stoically amidst the arid landscape, continues to offer more questions than answers. As visitors gaze upon its weathered yet majestic facade, the mystery of the fire invites deeper exploration. What secrets lie beneath the layers of history, and what events led to the destruction of such a significant and sacred site? While the exact reasons behind the fire remain unclear, The treasury's enduring presence serves as a reminder of the complexities of Petra's past. It continues to captivate the imagination of all who encounter it, urging future generations to uncover the truth behind its enigmatic history. Deep in the tropical rainforests of southern Mexico, hidden within the lush greenery of the Gulf Coast, lies the ancient city of the Olmecs, a civilization known for its profound influence on Mesoamerican cultures. Among their most iconic achievements are the colossal stone heads, which continue to puzzle historians and archaeologists alike. These massive sculptures, some over 10 feet tall and weighing up to 40 tons, represent the Olmec rulers or elite figures and stand as symbols of power, artistry, and mystery. Yet, the question that persists is how these enormous stones were transported and why they were moved over such vast distances. Discovered in the late 19th century, most of the heads were found at key Olmec centers, including San Lorenzo and La Venta. What's baffling, however, is that these statues were not created at the sites where they were discovered. The stones used to carve the heads came from quarries over 50 miles away, with some even farther. How did the Olmecs manage to transport such massive stones using the limited technology available to them around 1200 BCE? The mainstream theory is that the Olmecs used a combination of manpower, rudimentary tools, and possibly wooden sledges or rolling devices to move the stones. Some scholars believe they may have used logs or rafts to float the stones down rivers, making the journey more manageable. While plausible, the scale of the task raises the question: was the transportation process truly that simple? The sheer weight and size of the stones suggest that the process of moving them was an extraordinary feat, possibly requiring more advanced methods or lost technologies. Could there have been techniques at the Olmecs' disposal that we are not aware of today, allowing them to accomplish such an achievement? This remains an open question, adding to the mystery of the Olmec civilization. Equally puzzling is the deliberate relocation of these colossal heads. The Olmecs didn't just place the heads at ceremonial centers. Many were moved within the sites themselves. This raises several important questions. Why were these heads moved? Was their relocation meant to amplify their symbolic power, or did it serve to legitimize the authority of the rulers who commissioned them? It's also possible that the relocation was done to mark sacred spaces or key political territories, strengthening the Olmecs' control over vast regions. Some theories propose that the movement of these colossal heads was connected to a belief system tied to celestial events or astronomical alignments. Given the Olmecs' apparent interest in ritual and the cosmos, it's possible that the relocation was a symbolic act designed to align with celestial bodies, such as the stars or the sun's path across the sky. Could the heads have been positioned to mirror the heavens, serving as a cosmic representation of power? The precise alignment and placement of these monuments suggests that they may have had a deeper connection to the Olmecs' understanding of the universe. Other, more speculative theories venture into even more extraordinary possibilities. Some suggest that the heads were not merely memorials to rulers but representations of gods, or perhaps even extraterrestrial visitors. The craftsmanship and scale of the statues have led some to theorize that the Olmecs had access to knowledge or technologies far beyond the capabilities of their time. Could these heads be part of a much larger cosmic or mystical plan that has since been lost to history? Despite the theories, the precise methods of moving and positioning these colossal heads remain a mystery. While many historians attribute the task to human ingenuity, the methods remain speculative. Could the Olmecs have tapped into knowledge or techniques that we still don't understand? As the massive heads stand silently in the jungle, weathered by time yet imposing in their grandeur, the mystery of their creation and relocation continues to intrigue. What motivated the Olmecs to dedicate such immense resources to these statues? Was it a matter of power and ritual, or did these monuments carry a deeper, perhaps divine, significance? As archaeologists continue to investigate, these colossal heads stand as silent witnesses to the Olmec civilization's unknown past, their secrets buried in the stone, awaiting future generations to unravel their mysteries. The Olmec colossal heads remind us that, even in the face of extraordinary achievements, there remain countless unanswered questions. As the search for answers continues, the heads continue to stand as enigmatic symbols of a lost culture, leaving us to wonder what other secrets they may still hold beneath the dense foliage of time. High in the rugged mountains of northeastern Turkey, overlooking the vast plains of the Ararat region, the ancient city of Ani stands as a haunting reminder of a once thriving metropolis. Known as the City of 1001 Churches, Ani was the capital of the medieval kingdom of Bagratid Armenia during its peak in the 10th and 11th centuries. Today, the ruins of Ani, with its monumental gates, churches, and palaces, lie in eerie silence, offering a glimpse into the grandeur of a forgotten world. Yet the mystery of its sudden abandonment in the late 14th century continues to intrigue historians and archaeologists. Perched on a plateau above the Akurian River, Ani's strategic location made it a vital center for trade and culture. The city's impressive architecture, including intricate churches and defensive walls, highlights the power and wealth of the Bagratid dynasty. However, by the mid-14th century, Ani was nearly deserted. What led to its abandonment? While various theories exist, the true reasons behind the city's fall remain shrouded in mystery. The traditional explanation for Ani's decline points to a series of military conflicts and natural disasters. In 1064, the Seljuk Turks captured the city, weakening its political and economic strength. Despite recovering somewhat under the Bagratid dynasty, Ani's fortunes began to wane after the Mongol invasions in the 1230s. The Mongols ravaged much of the region, including Ani, and many of its residents fled. The city's once imposing fortifications proved ineffective against the Mongol forces. Following the invasions, Ani's importance diminished, and much of its vibrancy was lost. Yet, Ani's abandonment is not solely attributable to foreign invasions. The city's location, near a fault line, made it vulnerable to earthquakes. Archaeological evidence shows signs of structural damage from seismic activity, suggesting that a series of earthquakes may have contributed to the city's collapse. Could the city's inhabitants, fearing future disasters, have abandoned it in search of a safer location? Other theories propose that environmental factors played a significant role. Ani depended on agriculture and trade, and a disruption in water supply or a shift in local climate could have had catastrophic consequences. The changing course of the Akurian River or a sudden alteration in rainfall patterns may have made the area less hospitable, leading to the city's decline. Was the river's course changing gradually, contributing to Ani's gradual abandonment, or was there a more sudden environmental event that forced the inhabitants to leave? Perhaps the most intriguing aspect of Ani's disappearance is the apparent abruptness of the city's desertion. While its political and economic decline is evident, the scale of the desertion suggests a more sudden cause. The absence of written records from this period leaves few clues, but the abandoned buildings and empty streets indicate that the city was evacuated in haste. Could the people have left in fear, driven by a sudden crisis or a sense of impending doom? Some speculative theories propose that Ani's abandonment was linked to mystical or spiritual factors. Could the city's decline have been seen as a divine punishment? In many ancient civilizations, cities were abandoned after they fell out of favor with the gods. Was the desertion of Ani part of a larger spiritual crisis or a belief that the city had been marked for destruction by the gods? This theory suggests that the people of Ani may have abandoned the city not due to earthly forces, but because they believed it was destined for collapse. Even more speculative theories suggest that Ani might have been built on the site of an older, forgotten civilization. Some have posited that the city's grand architecture and strategic location could indicate that it was founded on the ruins of a much older culture. Could Ani have been a re-emergence of an ancient center of power, whose inhabitants knew of the site's significance and abandoned it in response to a looming disaster? This theory raises the possibility that secrets hidden beneath Ani's ruins could reveal a deeper history yet to be uncovered. As we stand among the crumbling walls and towering arches of Ani, the question remains: what caused the city's downfall? Was it a result of military conflict, environmental collapse, or something more profound? A spiritual or mystical event that led its inhabitants to abandon their once great city? The answers may be buried beneath the layers of time and earth, but the mystery of Ani's fate persists. The ruins of Ani continue to stand as a silent testament to a civilization that once dominated the region. Their quiet presence invites further exploration and discovery, with the hope that, one day, the lost secrets of Ani may be revealed. For now, the city's abandonment remains one of history's great unsolved mysteries, guarding its secrets beneath the vast sky and shifting sands. Deep in the arid heart of southern Peru, the Nazca Lines stretch across the vast desert floor, one of the most remarkable and mysterious archaeological sites in the world. These vast geoglyphs, spanning nearly 500 square kilometers, feature a series of intricate patterns, figures, and animals, including a monkey, spider, and hummingbird. Carved into the desert floor between 500 BCE and 500 CE by the Nazca civilization, their purpose has been the subject of speculation for centuries. Yet an equally perplexing aspect of their history is the flood that may have contributed to their erosion and obscurity. The Nazca Lines, which can only be fully appreciated from the air, represent an astounding feat of engineering. They were drawn with great precision, and their alignment with celestial events suggests a deep understanding of astronomy and ritual. Despite their meticulous creation, much of the mystery lies in the question of how the lines were so profoundly damaged by natural forces, particularly a flood that struck the region in 1996. Archaeologists discovered that the flooding had washed away parts of the geoglyphs, eroding sections of the lines and burying them beneath layers of sediment. Peru's complex topography and climate make such floods possible, especially during the El Niño phenomenon, which can cause sudden downpours and flash floods. These floods would have swept across the Nazca Desert, eroding parts of the lines and obscuring the delicate patterns. While this explanation is plausible, it doesn't fully explain the extent of the damage or the timing of the event. The Nazca Lines had survived for centuries without major destruction, so why were they affected by this flood in particular? The fact that the geoglyphs were so carefully constructed, using primitive tools and extensive knowledge, raises questions. How could such a monumental effort be undone so easily by a single flood? Some researchers speculate that the flood's destruction was not just the result of a random natural event, but may have had deeper implications. One theory suggests that the flood was seen as a divine sign. The Nazca people, like many ancient civilizations, were deeply religious, and their monuments were often intended to honor the gods or symbolize cosmic forces. Could the flood have been interpreted as a cosmic event, a divine punishment, or a sign that the gods had turned their favor away from the Nazca people? This theory raises the possibility that the flood's destruction was not accidental, but instead represented the end of an era, or the loss of spiritual favor. Another possible explanation is that the flood and the subsequent damage were not accidental, but part of a deliberate act. The destruction of sacred monuments or symbols to mark a cultural or religious shift was not uncommon in ancient civilizations. Perhaps the lines were intentionally erased or buried as part of a ritual or political act, signifying a new belief system or a shift in the balance of power. This would suggest that the flood and its consequences were part of a larger, more orchestrated transformation within the Nazca society. Speculative theories go even further, suggesting that the flood and the subsequent destruction of the lines could be part of a larger, unexplained phenomenon. Some have proposed that the lines were created using knowledge or technology far beyond the capabilities of the time, and that the flood may have been caused by a cosmic or even extraterrestrial event. This idea, though rooted in speculation, reflects the ongoing fascination with the Nazca lines and the mystery surrounding their creation. Could the destruction of these ancient geoglyphs be the result of an external force that interfered with the civilization's relationship with the Earth? Despite these theories, the exact cause of the flood's impact on the Nazca lines remains unclear. The lines themselves, etched into the desert floor, continue to captivate those who study them, but the mystery of their destruction adds another layer of intrigue. Was the flood simply a natural disaster that wiped away these ancient symbols, or was it a part of a deeper, spiritual or cosmic event? The questions remain unanswered, and as time goes on, the sands of the desert continue to hold their secrets. Standing over the faded remnants of the Nazca lines, we are left to ponder the forces that shaped their fate. Was it a natural event, a divine sign, or something more mysterious at play? The story of the Nazca lines and the flood that altered their destiny remains one of the greatest archaeological mysteries, one that continues to intrigue and inspire scholars and adventurers alike. What lies buried beneath the desert, waiting to be revealed? Only time will tell.